Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cobalt Press Twitch channel for the World Tree Burns. As you may have noticed, I am not Will. Will is sadly not with us today, as he is in the process of moving across the world. Looks like he's going to be from Canada to the States, so we wish he and Sydney all the best of luck, and welcome to the country. Yay. So hi, I'm Dan Dillon. I'm going to be your Dungeon Master for this evening for the World Tree Burns, some 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons in the Midgard campaign setting from Cobalt Press. We don't have a whole lot in the way of preamble here, although I do want to mention that this is currently the last 19 hours or so of the Cobalt Press Deep Magic for 5th edition Kickstarter, which is running right now, wrapping up tomorrow. It's 600 new spells, whole bunch of subclasses, magic items, just all kinds of ridiculous, amazing magical stuff for your D&D game. So go check it out. They have really sweet Kickstarter exclusive leatherette covers that I highly recommend because they're always gorgeous. Go check those out on Kickstarter. So without any further ado, let's go around and say hello to everybody. McLoken.
Hello, I'm McLoken. I'm excited for this Kickstarter. One stretch goal left. I believe we can make it. Hello, I'm playing our Gnome Ranger today, and I'm super excited because I'm going to train some sex workers to be rangers. Birdie.
Lovely. Well, with that segue, Birdie Source.
I hate him so much. I can't even explain it.
Oh, no.
We have already talked about this 27,000 times. They are not going to be rangers. It is impossible. Damn it. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Birdie, aka the Birdie-saurus, and I'm playing Landis, a Gearforged warlock with a wonderful little imp friend named Edwin.
Hello. All right. Scarlet Moth, you're next.
Hello, I am playing Rowan. I have no idea what happened. Why are we on a fuckboat now? Excuse me. I am Rowan. I am the Ravenfolk cleric of this party. I am the only one steering us in the right direction.
Interesting. All right.
But she's
Simply
on
Jackson.
the boat.
Oh, Simply, last but not least.
Hi, my name is Simple Jackson. Welcome back. Do the Kickstarter. My brain is still processing the fact that it's Tuesday, but I played Tilly, our resident fighter and now ship captain, gladly so. But not the owner of the boat. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Somebody else is the boss, which will be fun to figure out. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. Let's go. Let's do the thing.
All right, yeah. So where we left our heroes last time, they were fleeing the law in Zobek as they are super duper wanted in the Free City. So they piled into Tilly's tiny little boat and split the party, a few into the boat and several leading some refugees cross country, and they met up north of Zobek in a little mining town called Obersteinau. It's full of kobolds and dwarves and humans and a smattering of other peoples who are just digging ore out of the hills at the foot of the Iron Crags. And there, they decided, they got a wild hair and said, hey, let's go buy us a big ship. So they went, pooled their funds, spent some time investigating the ships to see which one would suit their needs and their price range, negotiated hard, and now, long story short, they are the proud owners, well, specifically Landis is the proud owner, of a sailing ship known as the Sinful Princess.
Wait, that's the actual name?
That is the actual name, yes.
I'm happy everyone remembers that Landis owns the boat. Thanks.
No, that's crucial.
Technically, it's a partnership, but you're the boss.
Yeah, the rest of you are all silent partners. I'm the one that does all the talking.
I'm pretty sure Landis threw in the controlling interest worth of money to buy it, so...
Yeah.
No, I know contracts, and I remember not signing such a contract.
Right.
I remember not caring. Whoa.
So, you all have yourselves a ship and a crew. You have most of the crew that were previously sailing aboard the Sinful Princess. They're now sailing under your banner, along with her previous captain, who's decided to stay on as the first mate. Yeah, there you find yourselves. Kajia and the refugees from the Silk Scabbard have likewise signed on to be part of your crew, since that will handle their livelihood needs, since now you're going to pay them. They're going to work for you. So, yeah, we'll just kind of pick up that next morning where we left off. The day dawns in Obersteinau. It is a dreary sort of midsummer morning. It is not exactly hot. Thankfully, you're on the river, cool breeze, all of that. But it is muggy. There are low-hanging, ominous gray clouds that portend rain in the near future, and it's just sort of an oppressive weight hanging down over you as you wake in the inn, or if you slept on board ship, you could do that as well. Up to you. So where did you all sleep?
In a tree.
In a tree. That checks out.
I think Rowan probably slept on the boat, but spent a lot of time trying to train the workers to help run a ship and stuff.
So
probably
Tilly,
living in the inn.
in the inn? Okay. How about Landis?
Landis definitely slept on the boat. He took the second largest room to make sure that Tilly got captain's quarters. Even though he owns the boats, he knows that's fair. So he took the second largest room and is trying very, very hard now that he owns a boat. He's committed. He knows he's got to do what's right. He's trying very hard to get his sea leg. So he is going to sleep on the boat as much as he can and stay on the boat as much as he can to try to figure this ocean thing out or whatever we're on. He doesn't get water. It doesn't make sense. We'll figure it out.
I was wondering about that angle, and that makes a lot of sense. That Landis is going to sleep on the ship to try and grow his sea legs. It was an uncomfortable night, made even more uncomfortable by the fact that you don't actually sleep. So you just sort of sit, and even though you're moored and the ship is secured to the dock with these great thick hawsers, it still pitches, it still rolls a little bit in the light waves of the river. And so Landis had an interesting evening. Welcome back, Landis. You zoned out a little bit thinking about the river.
Clicking buttons by accident with big dumb hands. But yeah, Landis definitely just got to sit there all night and think about how wonderful this felt, which wasn't very wonderful.
Makes
But he's
sense.
committed.
Makes sense.
I know that
All right.
Rowan probably still doesn't believe that they actually bought a boat. She's like, yes, that good for you, dear. Good for you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so Rowan and Cloak did not sleep on the ship itself. I'm going to say that Riodan probably did. He's getting himself acclimated to his new life as a sailor. He's very excited about it. Was talking about it an awful lot, and probably stayed up very late drinking with at least one of the watches of the crew.
Distracting them? That's what I heard.
Yes, distracting them. The majority of the crew looks like they were spending their time ashore, as they had just put in from a voyage, and were taking some shore leave to spend some of their hard-earned pay, enjoy the comforts of not being on a ship for days on end, and enjoying their time off. So they are all reporting back to the ship this morning, and that's where you find yourself, sort of getting yourselves together. Tilly and Landis, you get up and head out onto the deck. You can see that there are a fairly large number of crew already bustling about. It looks like they're just doing sort of regular, everyday routine maintenance, making sure that water isn't left to stand on the deck planks so that it doesn't cause any rot, tending the rigging, that sort of thing. They all sort of greet you. This isn't a military ship, so they're not like snapping off salutes or anything, but they are a little bit formal about it. All of them refer to Tilly as captain, and Landis,
Even
you
though they're all
just go by.
formal to Tilly. Tilly's just like, hey, this ropes, yeah, keep on the, yeah, like the whole time just being really like overly nice and not actually.
And Landis is kind of following her around, like repeating everything that she says, like half a beat after her. And just like, doing great, crew.
Terribly awkward. Does Landis just go by Landis?
I think that Landis will answer to Landis, but I think that Landis is like trying to like very subtly refer to himself as boss in every situation possible, hoping that the crew will catch on and start just call him boss. He loves it. So he's never had an employee before because he had a shop, but he didn't have an employee. So this is like so cool to him.
So most of the crew will actually refer to you as Mr. Landis. And will treat you with a great deal of deference since they know that you're the ship owner.
Yeah.
It looks like Captain Kelleth has been diligent in informing the crew and making sure that they're all apprised of the transition. And it looks like some of them may have gotten some pretty direct, stern talkings to, and that might account for some of their behavior toward the rest of you this morning. So as you're sort of making your way around the ship, Kelleth will come and find you and offer you both a bright smile. He'll incline his head to Landis and say, Mr. Landis, good morning. Captain, have you given any thought to what your first voyage will be?
Captain?
Did you hear me? Captain being Tilly?
Oh, I thought you was asking Landis. That's why I was Tilly's just like admiring me on the water, like, hey.
He kind of talks somewhat uncomfortably. Captain.
Oh, I do believe we're heading north. I do need to talk to the previous and other members of the crew from my former ship about their plans. I haven't quite had a moment with them in the morning. Some of them didn't stay on the ship, so if you guys will keep readying the ship, we'll meet back up with them. One has been a little in and out for the past couple of days, so I really need to make sure her input is received, if that's all right.
Very well. I'll see to it that the princess is ready on your order. He kind of turns on his heel and then just sort of barks across the deck toward some people. Hold! Eberk! Knock it off! And goes striding off to go and reprimand a dwarf and a trollkin who looks like they were starting to play dice over on the deck rather than whatever they were supposed to be doing. And so they start hastily gathering their things up and tucking them away. And he comes over and gives them a tongue lashing.
We should probably head back to the inn, catch up with everybody else that was over there. If you're all right with that, Landis, I think they'll got it here. Getting it all ready for us, if that's all right. Or would you like to stay?
No, I think we can walk on land for a little while.
Sure?
That would be
Are you
fine.
sure you don't want to stay? You seem pretty keen on being here overnight.
I love the boat. Let me tell you, this has been a great experience. But I think it's important for us to go see our friends now, and I can step away from the boat for a few minutes. I think that it'll be okay here with this very trustworthy and admirable crew here.
Before walking off to try to be like, all right, and then get off the boat, she slaps Landis on the back and goes, I knew you're a natural. And get walking.
Yeah, I'm not queasy at all. It's fine.
Alrighty. Cloak, whereabouts are you during the morning shenaniganry?
I probably went out and got went hunting and caught a few rabbits. I don't know what kind of animals are in the area. Is there a boar? I want to catch a boar and kill it.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna take it and drag it back to the inn and go, look at breakfast.
All right. So you spend your morning trapping and hunting this boar, and you just sort of drag it into the inn.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple of the tavern workers who just kind of blink a little bit. You can see that there is a shift change from the miners happening right now. So there are crews of bedraggled, mostly kobolds, but also humans and dwarves, sort of dragging themselves filthy and weary and parched from the nearby mines inn to get breakfast and, well, for them, dinner and a drink before they turn in for the day. And you could see like kobolds are like sort of edging over towards the boar and chattering to each other in Draconic and sort of licking their chops. And that sort of overweight, balding human innkeeper that you saw the night before comes out and actually does start laying about him with a damp dish towel and just like snapping the kobolds back from the kill. He sort of looks down at it and gives this sort of a resigned sigh and says, okay, lovely. Right, so I suppose you'll want this cooked for you then?
Well, I mean, anyone can eat it. I'm not gonna eat this whole thing. Look how big I am.
Oh, this is just... Oh, all right.
I mean, I'll take some of it.
I mean, I want some of it. She likes it raw, so if you can give her some, like, raw meat... God damn it.
Fucking Birdie's face.
Hello. She likes raw meat, so if you can give her some, like, raw meat, just, like, cut her off some, she'd appreciate that.
All right, so I imagine since you're going to have to, dress the boar out and prepare it for cooking, you would have brought it in fairly early. So they have basically just opened the common room. What?
I want to help cook it. I'm proficient in cooking.
Okay, yeah,
it has
absolutely.
not come up until this moment.
Incredible.
So why don't we see how well and speedily you can get this done, since you sort of dropped this on them. Why don't you make me a dexterity check with your cook's utensils proficiency?
Okay. Dexterity plus that. Okay. 21.
21, damn. All right. So you head back into the kitchen along with the innkeeper and a few of his assistants, and they clear off a large sort of butcher block counter prep area. And so as they're getting that ready, you haul the thing out into the back, skin it, and basically start breaking the carcass down into its bigger components, and then just like rapid fire butchering it in the kitchen, and it's just going from the bone straight onto the fire. And Cloak just sort of sets up this bizarre assembly line of raw meat.
I keep some of the prime pieces for Rowan.
Oh, very good. All right, so you keep some of the tenderest, most well-marbled cuts for Rowan, and then just start slapping all this meat across the kitchen for them to prepare and begin cooking. So there's going to be one hell of a breakfast this morning.
Oh, yes.
So when Tilly and Landis come sauntering up toward the top of the low hill where the inn is waiting, you can just smell this delicious cooking meat aroma that is wafting out of the little stone building. Rowan, you likewise, drawn to the common room by the promise of food, find basically Cloak scurrying in and out of the kitchen.
I imagine that Rowan would offer her help with it.
No, that's fine.
I just hand you a plate of like marbled raw meat.
Are you sure that it was a rather large boar?
Well, it was.
And I point to the carcass, and it's like skinned, and like meat chunks are just like in like that little assembly line thing. And he's like just getting it cooked and like moving things over and like getting that, and has like prepared meat and then like meat that's cooking. And it's like he's very much like paying attention to everything and moving around. And he's like,
I'm used to this. This is fun. I haven't cooked in so long. We've been in the city, and it just feels so weird. And I'm glad to be back out. I'm glad to be out of the city.
So this isn't something most of you have noticed before. Landis, I mean, you haven't traveled with Cloak long enough, but the rest of you have never really seen him cut loose in the kitchen. He has got this sort of oiled leather kit that he has unrolled. He has all of his own knives and utensils, and he is just going to town in the kitchen.
Tilly trops over to the kitchen and makes her way in, and she's like, "Hey, you're doing a great job." And she starts like pinching little pieces off, like people who can't steal like the cookies off the tray from their mom. Just
now, I want you a plate too there.
It's just a plate full of like pot roast meat and stuff.
All right, so there are all manner of steaks and just roasted over the open fire in these sort of large arched fireplaces, and there's a big pot of stew bubbling away that won't be ready until later in the day, but it all smells amazing. Apparently, Cloak is a bit of a virtuoso in the kitchen, and his knives are remarkably sharp.
I made a plate for Landis as well, but there's nothing on it.
Oh, nice. All right, so you all have
thanks,
a.
Cloak. I appreciate the thought, I guess.
You all have a delicious, incredibly
the
hearty
plate.
breakfast.
Do you take?
I can't eat the plate, man. Okay,
You can feel a part of our breakfast.
Tilly's like
and
awkwardly because she's had that moment earlier. She's looking at Cloak like, oh, it doesn't like. When you mention
Do you
ale.
take oil? Do your joints need oiling?
Are you squeaky?
What? Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was distracted. I was just gonna take the plate back to the kitchen because I think I'm done with it.
I was about to ask if do your joints often need oiling? Is oil something we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah. I do tend to keep a pretty robust stock of the items I might need to tune myself up with at night. And considering the fact that we don't know where we're going or how long we'll be there, I think it's a good idea for me to stock up while we're in town. At least we have a big boat. It'll hold everything.
And we should stockpile items which you may need. I suppose there is a real chance of you rusting now if we go out on the sea.
I would prefer not to talk about it. And I turn around and walk to the other side of the room and just stand there awkwardly because...
You know, if you spend long enough on the boat, we can change your name from Landis to Cetus.
Haha, haha. Okay.
Tilly like guffaws.
I am very good at jokes.
So good. So back to talking not about me rusting to death. That's fun. Tilly, you're doing a great job being captain. You're really leading people. Thanks.
So, am I to believe that this is not some fanciful fit of yours, and rather you have actually purchased a boat and you are actually captain of the boat?
Yeah.
Well, we purchased a boat. I have a controlling interest of the boat, and therefore am the boss. And Tilly is our captain, and then that guy over there, forgot his name already, is our first mate. He used to own the boat, and now he's first mate, and he's going to stay on. And then when we have to go do land things, he will take care of the boat for us, so Tilly can stay with us.
Yeah.
And we have
It's
a whole
also gonna
crew.
be a
It's crazy.
brothel.
No, it's not. It's not going to be a brothel. We've talked about this. It's not going to happen. We are going to politely ask our new friends, the sex workers, what they would like to do with their lives. And if they would like to join us on the boat, then they may come. And if they would like to have sex on the boat, they are welcome. And if they want to charge for it, they are welcome. But this is not a sex boat.
Fuck boat.
It's not that either.
I mean, she does own it, so I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, it is called the Sinful Princess. And wait, what's my job?
You apparently are our
You're
chef.
the chef, clearly.
Oh,
And
okay.
sorry, I'm still reeling from the fact that this is not a flight of fancy, and rather you have actually commandeered a ship.
If we didn't commandeer it, that would imply some shady business. We negotiated intelligently for a boat, which we now own and can use to travel.
Well, technically, some of the money we got, I mean...
Look, this is all.
I think you might have stunned Landis a little bit with that last
Okay.
bit, but I don't. I mean,
She
it
had a
was both pretty
404
fair
error.
and square. I saw them.
Yeah,
do the shake. So put it
Landis
right
gets a
out.
little glitchy near the sea air.
This is all well and good, but where are we going?
The
Have you-
Dolphin
have you-
City, well,
Have you given any thought to that? And what if anyone from Zobek hears about this ship, this boat that is carrying a Gearforge and has a dwarven captain and has all of these former or maybe even current sex
Dan,
workers.
Well, the
Kill
good
the
news
witnesses.
is
Yeah.
we
Hold
know
on,
the
everybody.
only people that know we bought the boat are the former owner of the boat, right? And all the crew is coming with us. So maybe no one will know.
I was going to
would you
ask.
have-
I imagine because since we got here earlier than Cloak and Riordan in our travels to Obersteino, we said that
Yep.
we had been in the bar hanging out with the local miners and all that kind of stuff. I'd imagine that between Landis, Rowan, and myself, we would have talked to the miners about maybe any information they'd heard, or making sure that there's not any lookout anybody here. So before I go into character and mention that we found out that it's pretty safe and they don't know much about us here, and the further we go
Right.
north, the further we dissipate that, but I
So
just wanna make sure everybody,
who was drinking and pumping the miners for information? Tilly and Rowan? Is that what you said? Not Landis.
Well, I know. And
Landis
Tilly
doesn't
was, like,
drink, so
drinking
it's
and
hard to
partying
make
with
drinking
them.
buddies.
Sure. So anyone who wanted to be carousing with the dwarves can go ahead and make me a charisma and either persuasion or charisma investigation check. So that's a little weird. Charisma with your investigation proficiency if you have it, or persuasion.
Okay. Tilly has a 8.
An 8.
Well,
So that was
drinks a lot, so
was that persuasion?
yeah.
Sure. Persuasion will work. Yeah.
Okay, or it's charisma. It's all the same.
Yep.
I'm not much better. I'm 11.
11. All right. So, Tilly, you basically, anytime you tried to steer the conversation toward anything useful, they would just tip it right back into sea shanties if you're talking with the sailors, and like boisterous drinking contest stories if you were talking with the miners. You just couldn't get them onto a different topic. Rowan, you had a little bit more luck, and you at least got some people to talk to you, and as far as you can tell, there is no word of your legal status that has reached, at least not, the people who are frequenting the tavern.
I would still advise that we keep our heads down whilst in this town, and as we maybe make our way north. Are we going north? We
Gotta go up.
the further we go, the farther from trouble we will be. But we need to
I
get
mean,
that
and
far first.
We're faster on water, and we're less likely to run into any sort of patrol crews than on the roads. So
And I will remind you briefly that thanks to Cloak's understanding of the local geography, you know that just north of you is a fortress called Obertal, which is a newly established freehold of the Zobek Griffin Knights. So there is a Zobek sort of military/law enforcement presence not too terribly far from you. Now, if word has reached all that way north from Zobek, hard to say. But there's basically a state police station just up the river.
and Cloak informed us of all that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, as
I
we
helped.
know, we need to make sure we don't stay in this town too long because
And-
there is a threat a little bit close to here. So.
And what of Paula?
This board is very good, Cloak. You did a very good job cooking it.
There is
there's going to be a chef
There's
on
a
our
sudden boisterous squawking from up in the rafters, and a crow comes diving down out of the ceiling onto Tilly's, basically onto the table right next to Tilly's plate, picks at a bunch of her meat, kind of
No.
Birds can't really grin, but it looks up at her and kind of makes beady eye contact, fruffles its feathers, swallows a gulp of her meat, and then flies away, cawing and cackling.
And just goes, hey, bud. Good morning.
No.
Hey,
Sure,
careful with
I was
him.
done with that. Sure.
Why? It's a crow.
It's not. It's a different kind of crow, man.
Oh.
Ah,
What kind of crow?
my
It's kind of
friendly
like
kind of
it might-
crow.
It might have worn
Oh.
a cloak previously in its
Oh.
other
Yeah.
non-crow life.
Yeah.
If you know.
He's just hungry.
It's kind of impish for being a crow.
Oh, cloak.
It had a lot of
Wow.
teeth.
So
Alright.
I mean, should we offset?
Are
on
you
the
sure
water?
that wasn't
Should
a goose? Goose have teeth.
Pretty sure that wasn't a goose. Are you alright?
He probably could be if you wanted him to.
Oh, I am picking up on what you're saying now. Very, very sly.
All right, so you finish a tremendous meal, really. It's Cloak is really an accomplished cook, and that probably surprises most of you. I don't think you've really never had the occasion to see him ply his skills, and he is very, very good. So,
Landis is
with
honestly kind of surprised that Cloak has accomplished that much of anything at this point, based on what he's seen so far.
damn.
Wow. Tell me how you really feel.
All right, so with full bellies, those of you who have bellies to fill, and just wonderful, delicious flavors lingering on your tongues and filling your nostrils, washing it down with this cold, foamy, okay ale here that they probably brew out back. You're ready to decide how you want to set off.
I mean, I believe we'll need to do a little bit of shop preparation, making sure we have enough supplies and whatnot.
Yep.
Plenty of oil, clearly, Landis, for this journey, if that's all right.
There was
Where can boats go?
There was that portent that the Rune Father gave me some time ago. But do we need more directions? He is obtuse as always, but I can always ask.
I feel like you have to. I mean, I've had plenty of ale since we left Zobek, but I feel like we talked about a certain tree or whatnot that we needed to go to north of here. That's why we were heading north in the first
Then-
place.
At the world tree that was north. There was the portent was darkness leading to light, hunger and danger, but a sense of hopefulness.
I mean, if you feel like I need to ask him, his advice has been clearly very helpful so far. If this is still the right direction that we need to go in. I mean, we have plenty of time based on preparations before getting on the water.
Or is there perhaps something more specific that you would like me to ask?
Oh, me? Oh,
Or
I've got
anyone,
all questions
Cloak,
about-
Landis, Tilly, any of you?
Listen, as much as I love to insert my opinion into most all things, I don't understand where the boat can go because I've never left Zobek. So, I don't know, maybe ask him where the boat can go.
You've never left Zobek in this life
No.
or the previous one?
Nah. So is my spot. So I'm at a little bit of a loss at this point.
Oh, trust me,
Up
it's not much of
towards
a
that
loss.
tree. Yeah, up towards that tree is the last I remember us deciding upon.
Yes.
Which I am sold on now, I guess. I still think this whole squirrel thing is very strange, but I don't know that we have any other thing to go on. So chasing
let
squirrels.
me interject right here, Landis / Birdie. Have they ever explained the squirrel thing to Landis, or they're just like,
Landis,
oh,
no.
a squirrel.
Landis
okay.
has asked them like 6 times to explain the squirrel thing, and the most that I've gotten is Riordan saw a squirrel in a vision that said he was the chosen one. And so that's, but they can't explain, they won't explain to me why that is, like, what that means, or why it's important, or anything. Or why it has anything to do with the tree.
I crack up every time just for the simple fact that we always have Riordan explain it, and it just always becomes very pompous and egotistical.
And unintelligible. All right,
Exactly.
so Birdie, please make me an intelligence arcana check for Landis to see
Okay.
what he might be able to understand or put together from these inane ramblings.
Okay, I can do that. 14.
Okay, so you're at least able to put together that there is something coherent behind whatever the hell Riordan has been babbling about. With all of their talk of wanting to go toward a world tree, and then hearing about this talking squirrel over and over again, you're pretty sure he's referring to a ratatosk, which are small, tusked, squirrel-like creatures. They wear jewelry, they talk, sometimes they talk too much, and they scurry about the branches of the world tree. Supposedly they're messengers of the gods who can carry the word of the gods from one realm to another through the boughs of the world tree. So apparently Riordan, on some drug-fueled vision, talked to one of the ratatosk.
Okay. That honestly, if they had just said that from the beginning, would have made a lot more sense. But okay, thank you.
With a 14, you don't know any more particular detail about these creatures, just that they actually do exist. And they very rarely come to Midgard itself, and they stay in the branches of the world tree.
Yeah. A creature of the gods that lives in the world tree is a little more understandable than a squirrel in terms of a reason to chase it across the lands. Yeah.
Tomato.
Fair enough. Okay, so... Yeah, go ahead.
Rowan's going to take the time to keep aside some of the raw meat. It's very, very nicely prepared and hunted, so she thinks they will make a good offering to Wotan.
Sure.
And she'll excuse herself. Cloak, would you mind if I use the kitchen for my communion with Wotan?
Like the inn kitchen? I mean, that's not my call. I don't care. I'm pretty much done in here.
There is a galley on the ship.
Captain / first mate, I don't know which of you to defer to. May I use the galley?
The first mate was left on the ship. If you all want to head that way, that's no problem, and you absolutely have access to the galley.
I'm
you know what, Rowan?
Mr.
Just because you're one of my friends, I'll let you use the galley today.
I've never been on a ship before.
No, you've never been on a ship. This will be quite fun. I mean, at least you've got short legs, so quick to
Do
learn.
you have a strong stomach?
I think so.
Then you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Okay.
If I can deal with it, you can deal with it.
If man can do it, you can do it.
But you don't have a stomach.
Right, and I still feel terrible. So if I can get through it, you can get through it.
What's that little red spot you got there?
What red spot?
Like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, like, it's like a dark reddish, like, dusty color? I don't know what that is. Is it like rust?
Stop looking at me.
All right, Rowan. You make your way down to the docks, and you get your first good look at the Sinful Princess, your new home on the water. It is a 3-masted sailing ship. It's a fairly large vessel, and there are people milling about on deck. There are others loading supplies from the dock up the gangplank. And they have a cargo net spread out with a winch that they're starting to stack crates and casks of water on to hoist up into the hold all at once rather than carrying them individually. You see the crew that you can see kind of at first glance are just sort of a mix. There's mostly humans. You see a blue-skinned tiefling. And up in the tops, up in the crow's nest, is a woman who appears to have green skin, but you can't really get a good look at her from the distance you are. She's all the way up on top of the mast. Green skin, some kind of short hairstyle. It's very strange. The thing that most catches your eye, though, is the Minotaur that comes lumbering down the gangway. Its hooves clomping on the planks and then clattering on the planks of the pier, and it sort of shifts its muzzle around, points its snout towards you, looks you up and down, gives sort of a through its nostrils, and then just turns and goes back to helping load heavy crates onto the cargo net.
Rowan's a little bit taken aback, and as they make eye contact, just bows slightly. She hasn't really seen one in person before.
I want Moth to understand something really quickly, because this was not clear to anyone but Tilly as we were buying the boat. This thing is massive. We have 45 crew members or something like that?
30-ish.
30-ish crew members. This is a huge boat. We were
it's a ship. Yeah, it is a full-blown sailing ship. The Minotaur, when you bow, sort of gives you just a curt little nod, but then gets to work. So he doesn't ignore you when you acknowledge him. He probably stands over 7, close to 8 feet tall at the tips of his horns. And his horns are, they looks like they've been carved or etched with these interesting, intricate, coiling and angular labyrinth maze-like designs, and then capped with steel on the tips. And he just kind of goes to work. The ship itself, your heart sinks a little bit because it sure looks like it's seen better days. It looks like there's a fair bit of patchwork that's been done in the hull, a few areas that must have been leaking fairly recently because they've been smeared with fresh tar, that sort of thing. And some of the ropes are fairly frayed, and some of the hardware throughout the decking of the ship looks like it's a little questionable. But you make your way up onto the deck, and then down below decks to find the galley. In the galley, it's fairly cramped, and it smells just a little bit sour. But there is a older dwarf woman sort of bustling around with a slate on one hand and a piece of chalk in the other, going through a list and overseeing some of the other crew as they stow foodstuffs for the voyage. She has a little bit of a lined, weathered face, and her black hair is braided back tightly and then covered by a leather skull cap.
How do you do?
What? Oh, Ravenfolk. All right. You must be one of the new ones that first mate was telling us about. Well, hello.
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Likewise.
Is this the galley?
Who are you?
I am the grandmother of your new captain.
Wonderful. She blinks once or twice at the implied relationship, but doesn't really question
Adopted, of course.
She just sort of moves right on past it. Well, I'm Gudrun Ironsmelt, ship's cook. Nice to meet you. Is there anything I can help you with right now? Or can you get out of the way while we make sure we don't starve?
Do you have a small cast iron dish or cauldron?
Yes.
Or might I be able to use it, please?
I suppose. You planning to cook something? We're a little busy just now.
A plate will do.
She sort of rummages around, finds you a plate, hands it over.
And just.
Or you said cast iron plate. She grabs you a skillet.
Oh, that will do.
Yep.
And
passes that over. How's that?
And might just need a match if possible, please.
She starts patting around her tunic, sort of looking for something. She rummages around in a pouch and takes out a little waxed leather, like a little folder, kind of. You can unsnap it, and inside you see there are little alchemically treated sticks that you can use to start fires.
Rome will take one and just curtly nod and scurry out of the galley. She's actually intimidated by this woman.
All right. So you take the tinder twigs and the skillet and just sort of go about your business. Gudrun is content to just kind of let you go and starts nattering at the sailors as they're stowing fresh water casks below.
I know not to get in the way of hungry people. So Rowan will make her way up onto the deck near the stern of the ship.
Sure. All right, so back up on the main deck, and so are you going to stay down on the main deck, or actually go up on the quarterdeck where the helm is, where the ship's wheel is?
She might go up on. Is the quarterdeck busy at the moment?
Not right now. No. It looks like all of the rigging there is stowed currently, and as you're not getting ready to set sail, nobody is manning the wheel or anything.
I shall go up right near the very front of the ship.
Oh, the front?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The stern. No. That's...
Stern is back. Did you want to go to the front?
Stern's back about. No, stern's fine.
Okay. So you climb the short flight of stairs up onto the top of the aft castle, the quarterdeck there, at the very back of the ship, and you have your matches and your skillet.
And a nice fresh breeze, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll start to pile some of the fresh raw boar meat into the skillet and set it alight.
Okay, so you're planning to burn this meat as an offering. How are you planning to commune with Wotan? What means are you going to use to do it?
Divination.
So you're casting the divination spell?
Yes.
Is that... Okay, all right, cool. Let us... So what would you care to ask? Divination gives you...
Ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within 7 days.
Yes.
We'll be wanting to ask about this voyage. Is it wise for us to journey to this nearest world tree? Is this our destination?
So, all right. So your question is it wise for us to travel to the world tree? Presuming you mean Holda's tree.
Holda's tree.
You were planning to. Is it wise for us to travel to Holda's tree? All right. So.
Sorry, I always tend to put you on the spot with these.
That's all right. I'm just. It's. Okay, so you build a little fire, you get the skillet nice and hot, and then you toss the meat in to begin to sizzle and smoke. It gives you first the scent of searing meat, which is fairly appetizing, and then that very quickly becomes acrid as the steam rising off of the skillet and the meat turns darker and then black as the meat begins to char. And be completely unfit for anyone, any mortal to consume, but presumably raising it up to the realm of Wotan. And you close your eyes and you breathe in a lungful of that burning, acrid, dark smoke. And as you cough it out again, you hear this response, and it sounds like wind blowing through branches, and you can hear the creaking of wood and what sounds like rope, but it's not the rope of the rigging around you. It sounds like a weighted rope sort of swaying gently, and you get the feeling that there are answers to many of your questions to be found by searching the world tree. It's up to you to decide which question to ask.
And then I'm assuming the sound of the wind will die down.
Right. The sound of the wind sort of dies down. The clattering of bare branches drifts away, and then you sort of startle back to awareness as a peal of thunder rolls across the riverfront from the low-hanging clouds overhead. And there you are. You look down, and there's a crusty pile of cinders. That is all that remains of the first cut of the meat that Cloak offered to you from his kill, and you have in turn given up to the Rune Father. And his response to your question still sort of rings in your ears, that there is wisdom to be found and answers to your questions at the World Tree.
She'll just tip the last of the ashes off the side of the ship and make her way to find some of the others.
All right, no problem. So, the rest of you can gather up whatever supplies you want. It looks like, for the most part, the supplies for the ship are being handled by Kelleth and the crew. They know what they're about. So you don't have to worry about making sure everyone has food and water and all that good stuff. What is the plan?
I
Is there
imagine
anything-
one.
Sorry.
Oh, can I work a deal with you, Dan, as DM
Sure.
player for this? Okay.
Yeah.
Tilly's a social beast when it comes to her crewmates, and I feel like
Okay.
any opportunity presented, she's going to be trying to learn crew and learn about the crew. They're not just expendable to her. Like, she wants to be a part of the ship and a part of the crew.
Sure.
So can we do some sort of roll together to see how many I can learn in a certain amount of time? And if you can give me a few names, kind of, because I really want to start like addressing
Absolutely.
them directly with their names and stuff if I can.
Sure, no problem. So one thing I'm definitely going to do is I have the entire crew sketched out already, and
Yeah.
I'll build that into a Google Doc that you can look at your leisure as well. So you already know that Marnus Kelleth is your first mate. I'll go ahead and put that into the chat.
Sweet.
And you will see that there are a number of interesting individuals on your crew. As Rowan already discovered, there is a Minotaur from Kyprion clomping around. There are a number of dwarves. There are mostly humans, some elf-marked. You notice a tiefling or two. That strange green-skinned woman who spends most of her time up in the tops, either up in the rigging, up near the sails, or in the crow's nest itself.
Okay.
You notice that there's a dragonborn.
Okay.
There are a couple of tieflings, and there is what looks like, at first you think maybe a halfling. You've really only ever seen one or two halflings. They're incredibly rare. The winter folk or the river halflings.
Okay.
But the more you watch this little figure that's kind of swathed in these light beige robes, and you can see that its hands and face are wrapped in linen bandages, you're pretty sure that's not a halfling. You think it's a goblin.
Oh, okay.
And this little fellow throws his diminutive weight around almost as if he owns the ship, and you can see the crew really just sort of treat him with a lot of deference and respect, and nobody seems to want to get on his bad side. And Keleth will explain to you that that's his bosun. That's a Koth. He's a dust goblin from the wastes. It's not a good idea to irritate him.
Did you say his name was Acost?
Akath.
Akath.
Yeah. A-K-A-T-H.
What is his role in the crew? What's his task he keeps most of the time?
Well, he's the bosun. And when he describes that to you, I mean, Tilly immediately knows what that means. He is responsible for... he's responsible for overseeing the discipline of the crew, making sure that the crew are doing what they need to be doing. If anybody steps out of line, punishment and discipline kind of fall into his purview, unless the captain wants to take over. Also oversees things like managing repairs or maintenance of the ship. So you can probably see where his skills lie, one more than the other, given the state of the ship.
Sure. I mean, we'll work on that with the crew. We'll see what.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, like you say, cross his path, but there should be a mutual relationship happening there. So we'll see.
Right.
I think Tilly would happily try to explain all the crew to our current party as well. She's not gonna remember everybody's names. She's probably gonna mess it up a good bit, but she's eager to tell you guys about everybody. So
So,
it's been a long time on here, so we gotta know them, you know.
Are people familiar with the main offices on a ship? I can just run through them real quick so you guys have an idea of what is going on there.
It's been a long time since I
I'm
did
sure
scouts.
McLoken is, being that he's a squid.
I googled it. I don't know how much I remember.
Nice.
Where's the poop deck?
The poop deck is also known as
scouts.
the poop deck is also known as the quarter deck. It's the raised deck at the aft of the ship. Right. So there's the captain. That's Tilly. That's the person who issues the orders and tells everybody what to do. And they're kind of the ultimate authority on the ship. Although, given that you have the ship's owner, technically Landis could pull rank and override. The first mate is oversees keeping the crew's morale high and is basically the captain's right hand. The bosun deals with technical advice, repair efforts, and wrangling the crew. The quartermaster plots the course, keeps the charts, and handles most of the navigation. The surgeon tends to injuries, medical needs, that sort of stuff. And then the cook deals with provisioning, making sure that everyone doesn't die of thirst and doesn't get scurvy. So those are your main offices on a ship, and then the rest are just kind of sailors. And some of them might have individual specialties or capabilities, depending.
Do we have a quartermaster already assigned?
So the ship does have.
Just say.
Yeah, the ship does have most offices covered. The ones they didn't have, well, captain, but you took that over. The one they didn't have was a surgeon, but it looks like Kaja has stepped up and is taking over that role. So she is putting her skills to use. You do have a quartermaster. In fact, that's the Dragonborn.
This is not a sex thing. She's not wearing like a cute little nurse's outfit. She's an actual medical doctor. Okay?
I'm not even on the ship yet.
Landis is just like practicing his speech. I love it.
Right. So the Dragonborn is apparently the quartermaster, and then the Dust Goblin is the bosun, and there is a Canton dwarf down in the hold who is the cook that Rowan has met.
Nice.
Who's very scary.
Ah. Okay. So, Cloak, what are you doing? You coming aboard?
I'm at the bow of the ship, and I'm looking at this like massive ship, and I got Puff Puff next to me, and I was like,
It's like a floating building. Okay. I think we can do it. You think we can do it?
Puff Puff, when you sort of talk down to her, she looks up at you, her tongue lolls out in a big doggy grin amidst her glittering golden fur, and her tail starts to wag, and she speaks. And she says, "Of course I think we can do it. Look at how happy Tilly is." And you look over and you see her just kind of, people are scurrying, following her orders, and it looks like she's in her element.
Okay. All right. So we have to find the kitchen because they said I was the cook. So in my kitchen now. All right. So, okay, I bought the kitchen. That was where my funds went. All right. So let's go. Okay.
and then me and Puff Puff walk up together.
Puff Puff is kind of trotting along with them, and just kind of, there's this low-level, steady stream of, I don't know that anyone ever really made that agreement. You might want to ask someone, but I mean, sure, we can go find the kitchen.
No, it's fine. I own the kitchen. I'm an investor.
Perfect.
That's a word Landis has used.
Since I was perceivably already back on the boat, and I as the owner wanted to endeavor to make sure that I had met all of the peoples that you mentioned that I already forgot what they're called, officers. I'm a real good boat owner. Is it possible that I would have already met this cook?
Yes, definitely. So if you've made a point of going around to at least meet all the ship's officers, then you've definitely met them all.
Okay, and her name was Gudrun, you said?
Gudrun.
Gudrun.
I will put it in the chat for you.
Okay. I think that if I had met her at this point, I probably would have warned her that a small gnome person was going to be coming into her kitchen and badgering her, and just to kind of play along. Or else, like, he's never going to go away regardless, but if she plays along, it'll be a lot less frustrating. But she's still the cook.
All right, so she would have just kind of rolled her grayish blue eyes and said, "All right, we have a new cook's mate coming aboard. Fantastic."
Where's my kitchen?
All right. So, yeah, Cloak, you spend a little time poking around the ship, and you find the galley, no problem.
I walk into the kitchen and I observe my new kitchen.
It's cramped, although it's cramped by human standards, so it's actually okay for you. It's not spacious or luxurious by any means, but you've cooked in worse.
Oh my god, this is so fucking huge.
It has a faint odor to it that does not put you in mind of delicious, appetizing food. So you're not sure what's going on. You're not sure what's going on there. Taking a little time to check through it, the equipment here is pretty rudimentary. You have enough to get by, but really that's about it. You might have to find yourself improvising. You might not have exactly the right utensil that you want for the right job. You'll have to just kind of make do.
I have my own utensils though, and I'm like,
That'll help.
Clean them. I start cleaning the kitchen, and every time someone walks by, I'm like,
You! Hey, come on. Help me clean my kitchen.
Rowan walks in, coming to return the skillet.
Yeah. Go ahead and make me a charisma intimidation check.
oh, I do not get it. Okay. All right, here we go. 17.
All right, you have 3 different crew members sort of dragooned into helping you clean the kitchen.
Yes.
This kitchen
Right.
will be spotless at all times because this is my kitchen.
All right. You you have one of the people from the Soak Scabbard that you recognize, Diran. You have a Reaver dwarf and a human male just sort of dragooned into service, scrubbing the kitchen, cleaning all of the utensils and all of the cookware, and just sort of trying to find where the hell that smell is coming from and obliterate it. Rowan, you come in and there's this little whirlwind swirling around Cloak as he is just tearing through the galley.
I came to return this.
She holds out a charred, kind of semi-filthy cast iron skillet to you.
Well, there's a sink. Fine, okay.
And then he like puts it, and then he starts scrubbing the shit out of it. And he's like, nah!
All right. So Rowan, I imagine, just kind of backs slowly into the out of the galley.
If there's a bush, she's slowly backing away into it.
I want this to where Cloak becomes Gordon Ramsay when he's in the kitchen.
Okay.
That's terrifying.
All right. So as you all kind of gather up anything else you needed, Landis, you have whatever maintenance supplies that you feel like you want to top off on. That's no problem. So Kelleth will come up to you, Tilly, and say, "Is there anything that we should look into? You said you have a destination northward that you're looking forward to achieving. Should we try and carry any cargo or anything north to see if we can empty holds earn us nothing? So
I'm not very familiar with the exports of Obersteinau. Considering you were docked here, do you know?
Right.
Do you think we could? I know there's a couple of forts on our way up, or castles on our way up on the route. Is there any supplies we could potentially sell at these on the way?
Well, if you have a route planned, then we can take that over and speak to Rulof, the quartermaster, plot our route, see what's on the way, and see if we could perhaps move any consignments of cargo or passengers, possibly. But I tend to want to avoid that. That could be worth our time. And you're going to have to start thinking about paying the crew. So thinking about this now rather than later is probably a good idea.
I mean, that's why we have the ship owner on the boat. That's more Landis's realm of work, the pay. If you'd like to take it up with her, I would like to really get involved with our export and working towards our routes, if that's all right. Just completely shoving that responsibility off on the land.
Sure, I'll go talk to Mr. Landis then. Perfect.
All right.
All right. So I assume you're gonna go to the charts with the quartermaster, plot the route, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Because I was looking. I don't know if we knew this in our discussions, because we came down, Rowan and I, via mostly of a water route from north where we were
Yes.
from.
This is in fact the route that you took down to Zobek. So you're kind of
so I would
retracing your
know.
original.
Yeah, so the next major city, essentially, would, if you correct me if I'm wrong, is Hirschberg on our route. And that's quite a ways away. It's only castles in between.
So actually what you're going to run into is... what you're going to hit before then is Canton Grissal, which is marked as a fortress, but it is a dwarven canton, so it's a sizable settlement. And once you mention that, Rulof the Dragonborn, she'll look at you and say, "Oh, if we're going to be sailing past Grissal, there's any number of things that will be worth our time to bring to them that I'm sure will be wanting to travel to that destination. They will need material for their forges, and as this is a mining community, undoubtedly they'll have plenty of iron and copper. Looking to travel northward."
Sure, I don't mind trying to see where we can purchase those in the town before we go. Do you know who the main point of contact is there? Or should I ask Kellith?
Well, Kellith usually handles that, but I know that many of those contracts are handled through representatives down at the Dockmaster's office. So you should be able to find whatever you need there.
All right. Thank you. And I imagine that upon this discussion, I guess I've told her pretty much all of our route, or did I tell her basically just that we were going to go?
Up to you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was just listing off places like I know we're going to pass this castle, and we're going to pass this fort, we're going to pass, etc. And I guess maybe when I stop, because I don't want to necessarily divulge that we're heading all the way to Holda Street to her.
Yeah, that's up to you. So basically, all you really had to let her know is that you're heading up into the Grand Duchy, and to the into the forest.
Okay,
and then, you can figure that out as you go.
Sure. And I'll leave her with her prepping and head to Landis to tell Landis that we need to consider going to spend some of our ship-owning money to handle some carrier services at the moment. So.
Sure.
But I'll have to. She'll have to go with me to handle all the business, because you're the boss. All the business.
Absolutely.
Landis,
anything you need, I'm happy to help you with the business side of things, because that's what I do best.
Has Kellith come in and talked to you yet?
No, about what?
Oh no, we just need to go see the dockmaster to pick up a couple of shipments of supplies to potentially take to one of our forts on the route, if that's all right with you. And since you're such a great business sir, then
business bot.
we could.
I'm a business bot.
Yes,
you can say it.
Then we need to go and sort that out before we head out.
All right, I'm definitely fine with that. Happy to provide my services to the ship that I own.
Wonderful. All right, so you're going to go see about finding a contract to move some goods up to Canton Grisal and make some money for the ship.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So one thing you will want to keep in mind is that to pay your crew, it'll cost you 462 gold per month. Just something to keep in mind.
Oh, that's right. You have to pay your crew.
Oh, yeah.
But if we're doing things right and they're handling their business, or we're handling ours, they should be essentially paying for themselves.
I feel like I hear
don't
somewhere
know.
Cloak saying something about fuckboat somewhere.
Yeah, if we're doing things right. If we're doing things right, we have a fuck boat.
As he's cleaning the pot.
All right. So, you can arrange to move some consignments of ore from here all the way up to Grisal with no problem. It sort of gets down into how much you want to invest in that, because you have to, basically invest in that up front, and then you get the return when you take it to wherever you're dumping it off. Yeah.
Is this the kind of thing where it's like, all right, if we do it, we're definitely going to make money? Or is this something we could lose money on?
I mean, things aren't necessarily always a sure thing, but
we don't want to put all of
money.
our money into it, and it's a port. They're gonna need supplies, especially when so much combat, like war, is happening in the north right now. So I feel like they will definitely.
But it's not like I don't know. We show up and everyone's gonna be like, I don't want that shit, or why would I?
Generally not. Generally, there is stuff that is expected to be delivered to these places, and then you're just providing that service. Yeah.
Got it.
Right. So you can arrange for some of that. How much do you want to try and throw in on this? We don't have to get too granular on it, but just.
I no longer understand how much money we have left, to be completely honest.
I don't understand the concept of money.
I don't know. We were all just like throwing in cash last time for the boat, and it kind of went all over the place.
Sorry, who was throwing in cash?
Somebody was conveniently napping.
Rowan's paying for the ore.
I have about 444 gold.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you throw a couple hundred, then you'll probably get a decent return when you deliver it.
Yeah, I genuinely do not know how much money I have left right now, but I'm gonna make a wild assumption that I probably have a couple hundred. If we all wanted to throw in a couple hundred, we'd hit somewhere around.
Okay. Like 200 each?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to make sure. We need to make sure, though, that after based on talking to the quartermaster, how much time have we projected this trip to Grisol? Do you think she would have told me?
Oh,
Or would I know?
to Grisol, it's probably only about 1 full day, maybe a little bit more of sailing.
Okay, good.
So it shouldn't take you very long.
Oh,
at
not
all.
bad.
It's, I mean,
Is it
like as far as taking shipments somewhere, this is a milk run.
is
Okay,
1,000 gold worth of ore like an insane amount of ore, or like what is? I don't know what it is.
I mean, that's a
I guess,
lot.
like, What? How much? Can I ask? Can I ask Keyleth or Calith how much they normally move at a time?
Well, it depends. If we're filling our hold, it could be tons, literally tons of ore
Just
or
remember,
whatever.
If,
You know, we have.
if
we
we're
have
getting
quite a
short
bit.
on
if we-
cash, Rowan knows
if
how to
we're
make drugs.
If we're investing in 1,000's too much to invest in. If it takes us a day to get to Griswold,
Yeah.
and we know we need to make sure that at least we're paying our crew, which would be $460 a month, then
Yeah.
I
So we can do
just
100
make
each,
enough that we
right?
can- yeah,
500,
and then
Yeah. All right. So
that's
if you
if
throw
Rita
in
agrees.
an investment of 400, not including Ryodan, however you want to handle, however you want to handle.
Oh, I was
that.
including him. He's included. I know Riordan's got the money.
Is he the?
He might. I don't know. He bought a house, so he's
Maybe if we were trafficking drugs. But
I think he may have thrown in the last he had for the ship, basically.
I
Oh,
think he
really?
did
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll throw in 200.
Okay, so you guys are investing 500 in this this cargo run. Okay,
Yeah.
so you spend the
I like
rest
to make
of
sure I
the-
keep it to where I've always got a little bit of an edge on everyone else.
Sure. So you
I mean, I have
You-
2,500 gold.
But we only need 500 worth of ore.
You're
so we're covered.
our emergency fund. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
You're
She-
just in case we gotta get bailed out of some.
if anyone's naughty, I'm not including you in the will.
Oh, never tell her about Paula ever.
Oh no.
Rowan over there making it hail. All right, so we'll you guys throw in 500 gold on investment for things to take up to Grisol. All right, so with that much money invested, that's a fair that's a fair amount. You will spend the rest of the morning overseeing the crew loading in crate after crate after crate of mostly iron, but also copper ore, and then even some, say, semi-precious gemstones that and other useful minerals that have been mined out of the shafts here and consigned up towards Canton Gristle. So you have a sizable amount, a section of your hold now taken up by all of these mined goods ready to go north. And so
There should be multiple forts beyond Gristle that if we can't unload it all there, we should be able to maybe at least make some deals on the way beyond that, if that's all right.
Probably. Yep.
Yeah.
No problem. Okay, so after you oversee the loading of the holds, the sailors begin to prepare the ship for departure. They begin setting the rigging. The sails are being unfurled. They're casting off from the dock, and Kelith just sort of immediately jumps in and takes over overseeing everything, basically with your permission, Captain, if I may, and then just snaps to and whips the crew into a frenzy of activity. And the sinful princess slips her berth and slides out into the river. There is a nerve-wracking jolt through the ship, Landis, as the sails unfurl, fill with wind with a soft boom, and the entire ship lurches under your feet, sending you scrambling for the nearest railing or lifeline as your balance is suddenly thrown off.
Wrapped my entire body around one of the like masts or posts or pillars or something like that that's on the ship, and I am just holding on for dear life.
All right, so Landis sort of lets out this metallic screech and clutches onto the onto the mast, or maybe the capstan, the big winch that raises the anchor.
So I imagine Cloak, when this happens, like, what the fuck? He like pulls out his sword and he's like ready to fight something.
So you draw some interesting looks from most of the crew, who then just kind of shake their heads and chuckle and go scurrying about their business, setting the rigging and making the ship ready and bringing her out into her voyage. So, the ship slips out into the central channel of the river and turns northward. The wind from the sort of gathering ill weather sweeps you swiftly along, and you begin making good time. So you find yourselves out on the open water of the wide River Argent, bearing you northward toward the sea.
Do we notice that stormier weather is coming?
Oh,
Or-
definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been overcast for a few days. You've heard thunder kind of rumbling and threatening, and it's been looking nastier and nastier as the hours have rolled on.
Tilly is definitely choosing to advise Landis to stay below deck. You might want to keep your metal self a little bit.
I'll go downstairs and make sure that everything is in order and secured and all the papers and I'll count money.
Where is Edwin, by the way?
You're the one that's supposed to have him. You tell me.
I can't fly. You're the one who's got the, thing with him. What do you know? What the thing?
Okay, I'm gonna reach out for my buddy. Where you at,
Sure.
bro?
Hi, boss. I'm up here on the rigging.
Oh, okay. You're with us. Good. I just want to make sure you didn't get left behind.
I'm on a boom.
Okay, cool. How is that going?
It's all right. Apparently, this is called a boom. They're very particular about that.
Okay. Yeah, you liking the sea life so far?
Yeah, we'll see. This isn't the sea, you see?
It's a river.
No. Oh. I wasn't talking out loud. You quit it. Okay, well, I mean, I guess, just keep an eye out for stuff, and if you see anything super cool or really dangerous, let me know.
Sure.
Maybe
sure.
check in with Tilly every once in a while. She just asked me where you were, and I was like, I don't know. You're supposed to know, but she didn't know, so I'm checking in. But anyways, just say hi every once in a while.
They have a lookout up here.
Good. Is that... Do you make friends?
I mean, I figured that you didn't want me being anything other than a bird just yet. If you want me to make friends, I can. This one seems real interesting. This one seems real interesting, boss. She's a plant.
I was wondering. I saw the green... You're talking about the green one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I heard about those ones.
Up in the crow's nest.
I'm gonna have to get to know that one. Yeah, you keep being a crow, but you can be a friendly crow. You just don't need to be a mean. Be a friendly crow. Just don't give yourself away quite yet, and see what you can learn about that plant lady. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm so interested in that. Okay.
I'll see what I can learn, but she's alone up here, and if I'm not going to be talking to her, I'm not sure how.
Well, you could be a friendly bird, and maybe she'll start talking, because some people get really lonely when they don't have anyone to talk to, and then she'll just start talking to a bird. I mean, I talk to you.
I'll see what I can do. Just temper expectations. All right.
Fine. Okay. Bye.
You're tying one stinger behind my back. There's only so much I can do here. All right. Bye. And you hear a fluttering of wings as the crow flies from up on top of the sail where it was perched forward to the mainmast. Okay. Yeah. So you all.
Oh,
just
sorry.
sort of-
I told Tilly that he's up top.
Oh, right.
Right. I was wondering, you were just like staring off. I figured you were talking to him. Or nauseous. You'll get your sea legs eventually. It'll be fine.
He's being a bird up there, checking things out in the crow's nest, which he found really funny because he's being a crow right now. So he'll come say hi later.
He'll be a great help with delivering information from the crow's nest if there's any sort of thing instead of,
Yep. Yeah, I
If
told him to look out
if
for
he's
anything
okay with
super
that, right?
dangerous or just like really cool that we've, maybe never seen before. I've never seen before. You've probably seen it, but
there's
yeah.
low water.
I'm gonna go downstairs now. I don't feel good.
All right. You're
I-
I'm dismissed. All right.
Both of us dismissed. Aye, Captain.
Alrighty.
Yeah, Tilly, I know if we know that there's a lot of wear and tear on the ship for the journey, I think Tilly's going to try to eventually not boss a Kath around, but essentially start approaching a Kath about how are things going and like, have you noticed any of this? There's a bit of boards here and there that could probably use a little bit of a replace next time we dock. But I mean, if you need me to talk to the crew about it, I can do it. It's totally fine. But if you,
All right, so you head over to a Kath and you're kind of chatting at him, and you've said hello to him before, but you really haven't had any sort of in-depth interaction with this individual. Are you catching him while he's above decks or below?
below decks.
Below decks. Okay, so you get him while he's basically going through the hold, making sure, kind of doing a double check on all of the cargo, making sure it's all stowed and it isn't going to go sliding across the deck or tipping over and crushing people in giant boxes of rock and metal. So he's kind of climbing around on these massive crates and making sure that they're all well and securely stowed. When he's below deck, he has his hood thrown back, and you can see his skin is a mottled green, yellow, and this sickly beige that you usually see reserved for binge drinking vomit. That's just sort of the splotch color of his skin underneath his hood and underneath some of those bandages. He does not have any hair. His scalp is completely bald, but it has these scabrous kind of growths on it, these knobby-looking... You hope not tumors, because that just can't be good, but these big, almost calloused-looking things, even on his ears, which are pointy, but then are kind of misshapen because of these bizarre growths on them. And his eyes are sunken back into his skull and are beady and black and just sort of gleam from the darkness in there. And then from his nose down is still wrapped in those linen bandages. And as you come over, he sort of tilts his head over towards you, and his ears perk up a little bit. And he scuttles to the edge of the crate and says, "Captain."
Alright. Would you rather me call you Agath or Bosun? What is your preferred?
He shrugs and says, "Either works for me. Whatever you find."
Alright, Agath. I imagine you're pretty close with the crew. You've been over them for a while. Am I right?
I know most of them quite well, yes.
Alright.
He
It
kind of
looks
tilts
like
his head.
No, it looks like the management of the crew is really nice. I mean, everybody is working rather hard, even under the new management system or the new crew heads, But I suppose, do you have any extra, or do we have any extra crew we can allot towards more maintenance work? I have noticed a bit of rot here and there. It probably needs to be replaced the next time we port.
He his eyes kind of narrow a little bit, and he says, "Well, money had been tight in Keleth. Had been prioritizing other things. If you want to change that, we can."
What was he prioritizing, if you don't mind me asking?
Paying the crew. And
I
the
mean...
bandages sort of tighten, you can tell that he's probably grinning, but you can't really see it, which is probably for the best.
Probably. Oh, sure. I mean, I certainly don't want to make sure you're underpaid. A happy crew is a happy ship, if you know what I mean. But I just want to make sure that a happy crew has a ship, and the ship isn't slowly rotting away. So if we have any free time here or there, I know we'll be doing a little bit of shipping services to make up for maybe lost money management. By Kellis, it would be nice to allot that towards some of that, if you don't mind. I don't expect. I mean, maybe the newer crew members that you're having to keep training so that they understand that, like, ship maintenance is still a priority, even over socializing or throwing some dice, if you know what I mean.
Well, if you want to throw some resources and time into repairs, that can certainly be done. Just give the order and it'll happen.
Sure, I mean, as long as you're willing and you think we have crew at least to work towards it, I'll talk to our owner, probably won't see him very much. He's a little, about the water, but we'll get there with him,
Excellent. That can be done.
Thank you. You're doing a great job. Can I ask you where you're from, if you don't mind, before I go?
He kind of turns back to the crates and such, and then stops and looks back around at you.
Where I'm from.
He tilts his head the other way.
Is that a joke?
No, I'm just. I mean, honestly, I'm curious about crew. I feel like I don't like keeping myself separate. I feel like we're a great team. We work together. We fight together. We do everything we can together. And the more I know about you, the more I know. And you know what I mean? Just we will fight, ship, and drink together, so why not,
Sure. I'm from the Goblin Wastes, near the Rotgard Forest.
What got you into sailing? If you don't mind, do you mind me asking?
His kind of offset, knobbly brows pinch together a little bit, and he says,
Maybe we'll talk about that more sometime if you want to settle in for a night's serious drinking. Eh, Captain?
Oh, I do love my ale, so I'll be down for plenty of that and a good time, but you're doing a great job, so keep doing a great job, what I think.
And he kind of, waves a claw and then goes back to what he was doing.
And she, kind of turns and is like, oh, God. Right. That sound. She'll go back and tell Landis essentially how now we need to work towards resource management for the ship. Because I don't know if Landis has noticed, but there's a good bit of wear and tear here and there that we'll need to
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a while back when we were going to buy the boat. I think that we can definitely put some resources into management of things. And I will get started. Someone has to... Listen, you may not have realized I don't know a lot about boats yet. So if you could tell me what needs to be fixed and how long it might take and who should do it and what you think it costs.
No. You don't have to tell anybody what to do. It's more like when we dock in the next place, we need to make sure we allot some money for board replacements, some oil for them, some some nails, take over rusted nails, etc. To make sure that our bosun, tell me if I'm saying that right, I don't know, knows that he has the equipment he will tell the crew. So you just want me to give him money. We'll buy it when we go in so that he doesn't hold on to any extra money, if you know what I mean. He's an interesting character.
I just need to prepare money for you to buy things.
Essentially, make a list, a little business list for things that we've got to spend and buy.
That's the part I was telling you I needed you to do.
All right, I will I'll agree to making my way around the ship to make a list to give to Landis for supplies to prepare the ship as we go, where we dock.
Perfect.
Since you clearly, Landis clearly doesn't want to move from his quarters.
Landis just doesn't know what the hell to buy. Like, how do I make a list of wood? I don't know, 8 woods.
Right. I mean, we definitely are not going to get that granular with it. You can just say we want to, I want to get repair supplies, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So generally, to do any meaningful repair on the ship. Now, remember, I am going to bring us back to, you guys did say you wanted a ship that was in rough condition. That was a better deal, so you got yourself a better deal. But in mechanical terms, that also means that the ship's hit point maximum is essentially reduced by 1/4. So it does not have as many hit points as another
I didn't
ship
know
of
a
its
boat
class
could have
would
hit points. That's so cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, the boat has hit points. Yeah, don't even worry about that.
Yay!
Oh,
All right,
wow.
let's get this boat some hit points, guys.
Let's get this boat sunk.
To effect meaningful repairs, you will need to basically dry dock the boat. You'll need to be able to put into a port and spend time and money and effort doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, you guys do actually have some armament on the boat. You have a ballista mounted on the foredeck.
Tilly leans over to tell Landis, we have to make sure that Riordan is never in charge of the ballista.
All right, so Cloak, after your whirlwind scrubbing and refitting of the galley, you managed to find the culprit of the smell. It looked like there was a pail of milk in here at some point that was it tipped over, someone dropped it, and it spread under and between pretty much every damn deck plank and under cabinets and underneath the stove. And it just soured and festered in every little crevice in there. So you have discovered the source of the smell, but it's going to take you a while to deal with all of that because it's in places you can't really get to.
Well, that's what we're doing. We're cleaning this.
Okay, so you spend a good long time doing what you can to get that cleared away.
Has anyone had come in here and been like, question what I'm doing?
So over the course of, like, if you're spending quite a bit of time in there, eventually, yes, the ship cook will come clomping in, and so you hear the footsteps, and then you look up and you see this sort of broad-shouldered dwarf woman with that leather skull cap with her hair tucked under it, just sort of sweeping her eyes over everything that's happening in here, and she nods once approvingly and says, "Not bad, not bad. Looks like you put these lubbers to a decent bit of work there. You must be the one I was told to expect. Clack, right?"
Cloak.
Cloak, that's the one.
Yes, this is my kitchen.
Gudrun Ironsmelt. Good to have you here.
Hello, welcome. So what do you do here? What do you do here?
Ship's cook, she smiles. Cook's mate, as it were.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like, you report to me, and I understand. It's a big change.
Sure.
Yes. Apparently, this kitchen is a fucking goddamn mess.
She just kind of tilts her head to the side, and her eyebrows go up a little bit, and she nods.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it looks pretty spotless to me.
Oh no!
You've done an amazing job.
Oh no, thank you. Because you weren't gonna fucking do it. Like, look, there's spilt milk in the fucking everywhere here. Like, how could you not smell that? Do you not have a nose? What?
No, I smell it just fine.
What, do you just accept that as your life?
Can you see?
Oh, I can see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just confused because you asked if I had a nose. Yes.
Yeah, because it seems that you didn't smell the fucking bullshit that's in the fucking planks!
Can you hear me okay? Did you hear that? I want to make sure. And her voice raised a little bit. Can you hear me, Cloak?
Oh, no, what was that? I'm sorry. I can't hear incompetent fools!
Hard of hearing. Got it. That'll make things a bit easier. I'll see if I can scare you up a listening cone. Maybe that'll help.
I can tell you where to put that cone.
She smiles a little bit broader. Excellent. Well, you've got things well in hand here. Great job. And she turns and heads back into the decks.
She's not allowed in the kitchen anymore. All of your
So the sailors who are finishing up cleaning just sort of look at each other and shrug.
And that's it.
Okay.
Did any of us hear that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If I heard that, I will find her first. I'll see if I can find her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I'll say, hey, sounded like a bit of a...
Mr. Landis, hello.
Yeah, how are things going?
Fantastic. Kitchen spotless.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Excellent. Are you okay? Are you satisfied
great.
with the working conditions?
Oh, sure. Well, we have an extremely motivated fellow down there making sure everything's shipshape. This is great.
Okay. All right. Well, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. Please do feel free to come to me with any issues or concerns, though.
Good to know. Thank you, Mr. Landis.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day. Okay. And I'm
You as well.
turn around and walk away
Kinda-
just like, huh, okay. Whatever.
Yep.
I'm gonna go
Okay,
back to
there you
counting
go.
my money. How much-
What's Tilly doing?
Yeah, so let's talk about over the course of, say, late afternoon, evening, what's kind of everyone's disposition throughout the ship.
Cleaning the kitchen.
Towards evening, you will be done cleaning the kitchen.
Tilly's, finding her way to drink with what crew has ended with their tasks of the day, learning who they are, trying to get any sort of information about them. They're pretty much her family now for a bit of the trip. So,
Okay.
part of the crew.
Landis has been in his room/office just attempting to get some sort of idea of how much money we do actually have, how much that is in comparison to what we're going to have to pay the crew soon, and all of that stuff, because we genuinely do need to know how much money we have.
True.
And side note, Birdie will go back and watch the VOD and find out how much we actually spent to begin with, and then we'll figure it out.
Very good.
6,000.
All right. So Landis is tucked up in his cabin, looking over the ledgers, basically just poring over the books again, just kind of going through it all.
Yeah, and I'm also trying to get an idea of like how much general upkeep was costing on the boat to keep it at like minimum capacity in terms of ability to sail, and trying to get an idea of what that might mean in terms of how much we have to put into it to make it better.
Okay. You'll have a good working idea of what it takes to keep the ship from sinking, and then once you can put into some place with some time, you will be able to figure out what you need to do to get it back up to ship shape.
Sweet.
All right. Tilly, towards the roundabouts evening, what's Tilly up to on the ship?
Like I mentioned, just
Drinking,
kicking it
right?
with,
You said you were
with
you
the
were kicking it
crew.
with the crew,
Mhm.
with the off-duty crew. Got it.
Yep.
All right. Cloak, after dealing with the kitchen.
I am going to wait till Puff Puff poops, take that poop, find who is this person?
Gudrun Iron Smelt.
Yeah, Gudrun Iron Smell, and I am going to put poop under her bed.
Oh, I just froze there. Am I back? I can't tell.
No, you're back.
Yeah, you're back.
I'm good. Yay! All right. So you're
I
putting
just
poop
assumed
under
you were
Gudrun's
reacting
bunk.
to what he said.
Got it. Okay, got it. No problem. So, I assume you don't want to be noticed while you're doing this.
No.
No. Okay. Then go ahead and make me a dexterity stealth check, please.
That would be a 20.
Okay, very good. Gudrun herself is actually sleeping in her bunk at this time, in her hammock, essentially. And you slip over and stash the duker underneath her sleeping space.
Yep.
And there's other crew.
Smear it.
There's. Oh, okay. So
I'll get it in there.
Okay. There's other crew sort of bustling around down here. Other people are sleeping. You can see others still are sort of talking in low tones and drinking. You can see that Tilly is over there, kind of gathered around an oil lamp with a number of crew, and they're swapping tales and drinking grog.
Yep. And then I just kind of like go back to the kitchen and I start cooking a meal for everyone after I wash my hands appropriately.
Okay. So pretty much immediately the crew deck begins to reek of dog shit, Tilly. Oh,
Does anybody use
what
what?
is that?
I don't.
Did somebody-
And is there anybody that's like, I guess anybody that I would know that I could ask on the crew to go and like help search for something that
I
stinks,
mean,
essentially.
You're sitting around, four of your
Okay.
crew, so you can set them to the task. And one of the dwarves with you looks over at a fellow and says, "Moritz, that was you, wasn't it? Huh? That was you. I told you lay off the jerky. Good gods." And they start
I look
wrangling.
at this
And
Moritz person. Oh, I don't understand. I mean, supposed to keep it clean. I'll have to talk to Kath about. I mean, seaweed once it rots definitely smells pretty bad, but this is not.
all right, so I mean, over the course of a few minutes, you guys will find it's not particularly well hidden. You'll be able to follow the strength of the stench and find just a handprint smear of dog shit under Gudrun's hammock. She is tucked in her hammock. Her fingers are folded over her chest, and she is snoring.
Tilly's gonna tap on her. Gudrun?
She
Hello?
kind of, yes, Captain. Whoo, Moritz. No more jerky for you.
I don't believe it was Moritz. You'll have to check your bunk. You might need to keep it a little cleaner in the future.
She tilts up an eyebrow. My bunk. I don't understand why. Oh, and she kind of looks under the hammock and goes, "Huh."
These are beneath the standards we should keep on the ship. Did you have, are you okay? Did you eat anything foul? I don't understand. How did it get through the bed to the floor?
Do you think I smeared shit under my own hammock?
I mean, I've heard of people sleepwalking. I just want to establish what expectations we should have with the crew.
Well,
are you mad at anybody? Who cleans this area? Are you mad at them?
I haven't been eating my wages, so I'm not sure why my shit would be sparkling. And she kind of pulls her bunk aside, and the feces that is smeared under the bed has these little glittery sparkles in it.
Awkward question, but would Tilly recognize that this is Puff Puff's food?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We did take on a new, I'll let you sleep, in my bunk if you'd like for now to get your rest. I'm gonna go and speak with, someone about this problem, if you don't mind. I'm sorry I blamed it on you. You never know what you're into, on the cruise, so.
Oh, think nothing of it. I'll go sleep in your cabin, I guess. And she kind of flashes you a wide grin, gathers her stuff up, and heads towards the captain's quarters.
Yeah, I feel really bad. I brought somebody on this ship that would poop everywhere. Tilly's gonna head to Cloak to essentially tell him that Puff Puff might have a little bit. Did you feed Puff Puff something? Has Puff Puff ever been on a boat before?
I don't know, have you been on a boat before?
She kind of looks between the two of you and says, No. Well, I mean, before, no. This is my first time on a boat. I'm enjoying it. I like the wind, and her tail starts to thump. Thump, 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 thump. I think I'm going to go up on deck. And she kind of concentrates for a moment and then vanishes.
Okay, considering I don't speak Sylvan, but I understand
She
it's
was
dog.
speaking common.
She speaks
She
common
was
now.
Common.
speaking
Oh,
common.
okay. Oh.
Yep.
All right. And well, since she's gone, I'll tell Cloak. I don't know if she ate something wrong, but the cook downstairs had a bunch of clearly her poop beneath the bed. Her
Oh
bed.
yeah, I put it there.
Why would you? What?
To make a goddamn point, this lady spilled a pail of milk all over the goddamn place. It was rotting and smelling, and she's like, all right, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. No, that is not acceptable kitchen conditions. It's fucking offensive. Oh my God. So I was like, oh, your nose doesn't work? Well, I'll make sure it fucking works next time.
Cloak,
And then I went and
Cloak,
fucking
Cloak,
smut shit
Cloak,
all over her.
Cloak,
What?
Cloak. We're gonna have to spend quite a bit of time in this not very tiny boat, but a smaller than open area with these people. For future, and I'm not gonna pretend like I'm over you, but for future,
Oh, no.
you can always tell me about problems with the kitchen, and I'll be glad to put her in her place. But you're gonna have to clean up Puff's poop now, because I'm not gonna make her
No.
do it.
No. I refuse.
You're going to have to.
I don't want to.
If you don't do it, I'm going to reassign you to a different position than cook. I was thinking about letting you move up in the ranks of cook because clearly you're a great cook compared to her, but
Yeah,
if
this
it's
is my
going to
cook
be some dissonance in the kitchen,
Look, okay, here, let me do, like, if she fell off the ship, none of us would have to know. I kind of fired her already, since it's my kitchen. You know, like, really?
Well, clean up Puff shit. I can't clean it up. I'll talk to her about the. Thank you.
Okay, I get a bucket of soapy water in it and like a teenage kid.
All right. So you go clean up your poo mess. There you go. Tilly, like everybody who was drinking and hanging out below decks, all go up on deck now. It's a little chillier,
they can
but at
join
least
Rowan.
it's fresh air. Yeah.
Is the air? Is it dry up there? Like we're not in rain or anything right now?
It's not raining, no, and it's a little bit humid, and the weather is a little ominous, but the clouds haven't broken yet, at least.
Okay, never mind. All right, Tilly takes note to talk to the cook about clean conditions in the kitchen, but I can't go talk to her now about who put poop under her bed. There you little goblin. Not goblin, sorry. Nope, sorry.
Nope.
Why am I doing this? Too many people in this party now. Ah!
No,
I remember all the
He's a-
crew. Excuse me.
He's a gnome.
Yeah.
it's on the screen.
There's a lot of people to remember, so excuse me.
Well, Rowan's up on the deck. And probably pats Puff as she appears.
Yeah, Puff appears in this shower of little glitters. Hello, Rowan.
Oh, hello. Avoiding people down there?
No.
You can come up here for fresh air with me.
She nods and says, "We were just talking about how lovely the wind is when the boat gets going. That's why I came up." And she kind of trots up toward the very bow of the ship and actually puts her paws up on the rail and stands up at the railing, up at the bow, just kind of wagging her tail, looking out over the water ahead of the ship.
Rowan goes and also looks over the edge and just enjoys the wind. I enjoy it too.
It's very fine, isn't it?
perhaps this wasn't such a bad idea.
It smells so different than being in the city.
Have you ever been out of the city?
Yes, I spent most of my time not in a city.
I'll wait till you... I don't suppose you've been on the ocean before,
No.
or
I
up in
never
the
have.
mountains. I'll wait until you see that. The sea breeze, or the chill wind of winter.
She kind of lolls her tongue out of her mouth in a big doggy grin and sort of watches you as you tell the story and does the dog tilt. Like,
Oh,
and her
my
tail
heart.
is just swooshing. That sounds lovely.
love that
I can't
sound.
wait to see the ocean and to smell the winter. I've smelled winter before, but never on a river or an ocean.
Oh, you should see it where I'm from. The snow howls, but then you get the inside warmth of a fire. And just being able to watch the drifts of snow go by.
That sounds very lovely.
It is. I don't know when I'll be back home, though.
Well, you have a ship now. You could go back anytime you like.
I suppose, but it's not really... It's not home anymore, I guess. Things have changed.
Things do tend to always change.
Oh, that is the nature of things. I suppose for now home is wherever Tilly goes. But I have... Has there ever been anything which you have wondered of the universe? Or questions you might need answered?
She kind of takes her paws off of the rail and sits down, looking at you, sits on her haunches, and looks up at you and tilts her head the other way. And she says, things were very simple, I suppose, for me before I met Cloak and all of his friends. That was a very dark place and a very bad time when I met them. But up until then, everything made sense. They seem to find the places where things are broken and need to be fixed. Sometimes it's very, very frightening, but I like watching how they fix all of these broken things.
That is an interesting way to look at it. I suppose that the things that are broken that they pick up and fix is not just objects, but people too.
Mm-hmm. Riodan was broken. You helped fix him.
Cloak is broken in his own way. We all are. I am too.
Cloak was broken long before he was Cloak. It's not his fault. It goes back a long, long time.
Does it have something to do with his aversion to grandmother?
I don't know exactly what it is, but yes, I think so.
Well, you seem to know him best now. Or
Well, I don't know exactly where he came from, but I know of places like it, at least in general, and I've heard stories about the Wormwood. I spent most of my life in the Margrave. That's a very difficult place for people like you to live, for some reason. The
Like me.
forest, all of you, and she just sort of looks around.
Right now, I'm not sure where people like me fit.
Like you yourself, or like all of them?
Well, I mean, Tilly seems to be right at home here. She finds things wherever she goes. She finds joy and people and brings wonder to everything.
Tilly always talks a lot, but it's usually because she doesn't know what to say, and she doesn't like silence. Here, she talks a lot, but she knows exactly what to say. It's nice.
She is from a clan of river dwarves. Sailing and fighting, it's their nature. This is the most at home I've seen her for months.
So this is kind of her home.
Home is wherever she makes it. But I'd say the open seas and freedom is her home.
I understand that. I think I could get to like it. This is nice. And she kind of looks out over the rail again and starts wagging her tail, like hanging her head over into the wind.
I would like to find somewhere. I haven't felt like I've had somewhere to call home, where with you all is the closest that has been for many years now since my incident. I have questions to ask of the World Tree. I'm not sure how the Rune Father expects me to get answers from a very large tree, but I need to know.
She looks back at you. I seem to remember hearing stories that he got questions answered from the tree somehow, didn't he?
I believe that's so. I know that the world trees were here long before even the gods. Or, I imagine so at least.
Maybe
I know
you
that
can do what he did.
My people are from, well, they're from the World Tree in a sense.
She nods and says, I've met a few of the Hugin before.
How did you meet them? Did they come through the Margrave?
Mm-hmm. They were searching for a path. I think they found it. Or they died. I didn't see them again, though. I like to think
perhaps they got eaten. Well, the Hugin are wily and cunning. I'm sure they found it. I'm not sure I'm much like many of them. I haven't seen my people for some time now.
Do you miss them?
I do at times, but now I feel it difficult to miss something which I never belonged to. Or right now I don't belong to. Feelings are strange.
Yes, they are. I like them,
But
though,
I try to...
even the ones that don't feel so great.
Feelings are what keep us here, and stories and our past. As much as we may wish to outrun it, it's what has made us us. And I think that is what makes me is stories.
You know what I think is the most exciting part? Whatever's behind you, there's another story right over there. Just at the next sunrise.
There's always more stories to tell and to learn.
That excites
and I have
me. She kind of gets up and prances a little bit.
I have far too many stories now because of Riodan and Cloak and all of you.
You all seem to be good at making stories. Interesting ones. Sometimes I think you might like the endings to be different, but that's what makes it interesting. You don't know how it's going to end.
The ending of one story is the beginning of another.
She kind of nods a little bit and says, I like that.
You're a very wise dog.
She wags her tail and kind of snuffles under your hand.
Rowan will give her a treat.
Oh, she'll snap it up greedily.
Has anyone else come up on deck, or other?
Oh yeah,
just,
like the other sailors have been smoked out by by the glitter stink, and you can see Tilly has kind of finished the last couple rounds of stories she was telling with a few of the sailors, and they have started to kind of drift off. Looks like they're setting up pallets on the deck out of the way rather than going back down below decks to sleep. And Tilly's just kind of left hanging out at the rail by one of the lanterns. You can hear the soft lapping of the river against the hull of the ship.
She's good at telling stories, that one.
Which one?
Tilly.
Oh. Yeah, I bet she would be.
In her own way.
Better now that she's not trying to fill the silence.
Where did Paula go, though?
Paula? Paula went back to Zobek.
What's... Oh.
She has her things there.
I thought Tilly would want to keep her around.
I don't know. I wasn't there for when they talked about it. You'd have to ask Tilly.
It's Tilly making herself... Was she noticed Rowan and Puff Puff?
I mean, she probably can see Rowan and Puff Puff up at the bow. You guys are a fair distance away.
Rowan's just going to start waving.
Okay.
Hello,
Tilly-
Captain.
Hey! I would say it's a beautiful night, but you can't see any of the stars. I was gonna try to suggest Landis come up here in the evening, because, to be frank, when you're on the water and there's so many stars in the sky, it's one of the best things about being on it. But not tonight, maybe in the future, you know. You'll have to, probably have
That would be
to,
nice.
frankly, drag him up here. I don't know if he's very keen on looking at the water, but, you know. We'll get there, hopefully.
We'll get there. We'll bring him round.
Frankly, I'm just happy to be out of Zolbeck. I mean, it was nice meeting a lot of people, but it was a little cramped, and there was kind of a lot of...
There were too
Business
many people.
there.
Too much everything there.
I
Was stifling.
I wonder if Oriadan misses, you know, all of his people there. I haven't really heard much from him. He's just been below deck this whole time, but...
He was loud and rowdy and boisterous early, and he is passed out drunk now.
I mean, clearly he makes friends easily, so... Ooh, I gotta watch what he says, though.
Much of his flock is now here with us. Kaja and the like.
Have you seen how to work on making sure the infirmary is taken care of? I mean, she's really knocked it off there. I don't know if being a lady of the evening is necessarily her role anymore. Maybe it was her calling all along to be mending people.
She mends people in different ways. Be that for a night, or be that in other ways.
We'll still have to probably keep Raiden away from her.
I think we should keep Riordan away from trouble.
Are you okay on the water? Are you enjoying the trip so far? Have you found anything that you want to do on the ship while we're here?
I've missed the open air, the not being in a city.
I know.
That freedom.
I miss the cold and the rolling hills.
I miss the cold.
Nice. Oh well, I mean, we got a lot of tasks to do. Did you? I mean, I know you mentioned earlier that you were going to potentially ask Wotan about if our direction was proposed correct or not, or what? What did you?
Wotan answered, and the well tree, the Holder's tree, is where we should go. I suppose if it will have the answers to many questions, we must simply know which one to ask.
Okay, and she's gonna lean in close. Okay, but seriously though, there wasn't any mistake in saying Raiden was the chosen one, right? I mean, he didn't go back on that or anything. Does that clarify it at all? Or?
I'm quite certain that Riordan was a chosen one. I'm not sure whether his duty is done now that the Red Priestess is gone.
Alright. I'm just saying he's getting a really big ego about being chosen one or something. So, let's,
Perhaps I will ask Wotan about that. It was not a regular portent. It was very clear that we had to search him out.
I remember your original freaking out, no offense, but the original vision about going down this little bit. But I mean, all I'm saying is he's trying to throw his weight around, and if he tries to commandeer being a captain on the ship, I will throw him overboard without even taking another breath, is all I'm saying. You know me. I can't.
Oh no. If that happens, I'll convince himself to throw him overboard. It's fine.
He's kind of probably still a little buzzed from all the drinking down below, just like, you want to do it. Also, I might have to. It's gonna be a little awkward, but I might have to share your bunk tonight. I told the cook that she could sleep in quarters, and I don't know.
What happened?
I don't know if Cloak is going through like a growing phase or something, but he smeared Puff Puffs, and she like gets quiet because Puff Puffs. He smeared the Puff Puffs drop-ins underneath her bed, like a tantrum. I don't know.
This seems okay.
Has he seemed irritable to you, or just
since we've left the city? Yes.
I don't want to disappoint you again. I want to make sure. I mean, I asked him about the weapons, and he seemed
Why did you ask him? That was your first mistake. You know what he's like.
No offense, Puff Puff, but I mean, it's his. His companion. I'm gonna ask him why his companion's drop-ins is underneath, and not just I went under there to use the restroom like a normal animal might, but I rubbed it all over the place. It made the entire below deck smell like crap, frankly.
I'm not sure it was Puff Puff.
What do you mean? I mean, nobody else on this ship does shiny crap.
I know. I realize that, but I'm not sure she intentionally put it there. I
don't think she did it. He literally said He's cleaning it up. I don't think he would be cleaning it up if he didn't do it himself. That's all I'm saying. maybe at least a small part of that little guy is guilt somewhere in there, because I don't know. We'll have to figure out what's going on between him and the cook. Because
don't you think that perhaps he is acting out? Well, one, he's gotten into a feud of some sort with the cook because he's remembered he can cook, and he's left Zobek, where he has spent many months now. He's lost his friend to whoever knows what forces possess Glaz to. He's not going through the best of times right now. Then, when we saw grandmother, or did you not see that he was in a tizzy when he came back from scouting to see?
You know what? And she's gonna put a hand on your back and go, I think I figured out your job on the ship. And that is to essentially talk to everybody. You're doing a great job clarifying. I mean, you're better at talking to him than me. I'm gonna just give him a task to do, and I got a lot of individuals to manage here. So, I mean,
that requires talking to people.
It's Cloak. You've been talking to him for a few months now. You'll be fine.
When you say talking to people, do you mean us? Our
Well, I think it would definitely be important. We're all stuck on this ship. We don't want to devolve into any sort of like cabin fever or anything by not divulging our feelings about the trip or what's going on. So if you want to like be the person who at least makes sure that anybody's not smearing poop on the ship for people to clean, they're gonna. If there's mud poop smeared, they're gonna ask me to raise their wages, and I don't want to have to do that. So. Just work with Cloak for now. Baby steps, or baby birdie steps.
Perhaps.
I think Landis is doing alright. I mean, he definitely seems excited about being the manager or boss. I don't call him the boss, but boss of what's going on.
And are you alright?
I mean, I feel enlightened being on the water again. I mean, this was what reminds me of like home and family. So it's great. Plus, we're surrounded by all these new people that are eager to be on the water as well. Have you met any of them? They're great. Have you met Akath? I mean, he's not very great, but I mean, we'll get there with him. But
are you alright after Paula? If it's my job to talk to everyone on the ship, it's my job also to talk to you, granddaughter.
You're right. Paula is great and all, and I definitely am going to miss her. But you know me and goodbyes. I didn't even say goodbye to anybody back home before heading out here. I'm not good. I'm not good at it. But she clearly had a home in Zolbeck, and we clearly didn't. So, I don't know.
I hope
I can't give her that much attention.
Did you... You didn't break her heart, did you?
Have you seen Paula? Have you seen how tough she is? She could take us all in a fight. She could literally bury us under tables. I'm pretty sure she's resilient enough to know that it's gonna be fine.
I hope that you haven't left her with a grudge.
No, I mean, she still hugged people after I said goodbye, so... Maybe, I don't know. I'll write her if you'd like. I'm not very good with words, but I'll at least write her. If you really want me to write her, I'll write her. You don't have to force it on me.
I will write her always as an option.
You write? You write her already?
I may write her as an option if you wish.
Oh, sure. I mean, if you want to do it, if you do it for me, I'm very busy. But
Also, be mindful we are wanted.
Oh, should we use a hidden name, a code name? Should we,
Well, perhaps. And yourself, you didn't wrong her. She has no reason to send authorities after us.
No, I don't. I mean, it wasn't like I was a little quick to leave, but I said goodbye and I didn't just leave her hanging, I don't know what you want me to say. I didn't step on her toes or break anything before I left. She seemed like she wished us well. She was, I didn't steal anything from her. Certainly not.
Oh.
Cloak might have, but I don't know. No, he wouldn't have. I'm just kidding.
Where is the bear?
I assumed then that she would be below decks, in
Probably, down in the
stable
hole.
or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Bear's here. I don't know. I mean, Bear did fine on the water on the way up here, or at least to Oberstein now. So Bear seems pretty resilient.
Bear has taken some getting used to for most of the crew. There is a strange interaction happening between the Minotaur and the bear, where most of the crew is not really interested in getting close to it, but the Minotaur seems fine with it, and it's like they're eyeballing each other warily, but just going about their life next to each other, just all right.
He wants to suplex the bear.
Stay there, I'll stay here, I gotta bring you food, and then you're gonna eat the food, and they're just watching each other the whole time. It's this weird tense coexistence happening with them.
We could make money with bear wrestling.
I will talk to Bear about it. I don't know. But everybody clearly loves Bear. I mean, Bear is super lovable. I mean, obviously. So, if you see anybody who's giving Bear a side eye, though, you let me know, because I don't want her to feel uncomfortable. And you never want an angry bear on a ship, is all I'm saying. So.
This is true.
But,
Have you?
if you're concerned about...
No, I'm concerned. Have you written your mother of late?
No, I can, but...
You should.
She's got a lot on her hands. She's pretty much running...
And also, you're her daughter, and she would prefer her daughter wasn't. I will nag you.
Oh,
about
I bet she'll be really proud that we've acquired this ship. I mean, I don't even think anyone in our village owned any ship this large. I'm gonna write her and tell her about the ship. She's going to be extremely proud of me. She's probably gonna tell all of our people about how much of a huge ship we've acquired. Thank you. That's definitely what I'll do.
let her know that Nana Rowan is taking good care of her daughter. Please.
Oh, sure. Always. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job taking care of everybody. I.e., I told you to take care of Cook. You're doing a good job.
Perhaps.
So there's a series of bell rings that kind of go out across the night air around the ship's deck, and the shift begins to change. The crew that were up in the tops and the sails begin climbing down, switching with the next watch, who go to take their posts, and the relieved watch goes below decks now that it's aired out a bit to take their beds.
I imagine this also involves potentially the cook waking up if they were on the first ship sleeping, or if she was on the first shift.
It looks like no. Her shift isn't starting yet. She'll be in the morning.
All right, Rowan. I gotta share your bed space. We're gonna have to make it a little tight quartered. I don't want to upset a cook. You don't want to upset a cook on a ship. That's the last thing, other than the angry bear. But you don't want to upset a cook on a ship.
You can take my quarters. It's fine. I was considering sleeping up here with Puff Puff on the deck.
All right, the rains though. I mean, you're welcome to come back in case it rains. Is all I'll say.
I'm not so concerned with the cold or the elements.
All right, until he's just gonna be like, good night. Well, thanks for telling me to write them out. I will write them. I'll let her know all about everything. Great. And she'll go down under the head to Rowan's quarters and go to sleep. Got to be rested for the morning, that's all I'm saying. Good night.
No problem. So everybody settles in to sleep one way or the other. Some of you have a more restful night than others. Landis, you sort of go dormant in your cabin after doing your regular maintenance and then just kind of stare at the slowly burning candle as the flame flickers and rolls with the rocking of the deck, and just trying to figure out how in the hell you're going to deal with this day in, day out.
The creaking is I'm going a little bit Shining right now, like Jack Nicholson. Like the creaking is starting to get to me.
It makes Landis a
I go. Cloak would go sleep with Bear and Puff Puff, or
Okay.
McFluff and Stuff, as he's originally called.
Right. Yeah. Fluff and stuff.
Fluff and Stuff.
Yep, no problem. So you all wake up in the morning. Cloak, you are a ridiculously early riser, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
So what's Cloak's morning aboard ship look like? You probably get up just a little bit before the shift change.
Okay. I would get up maybe a little bit before that and start cooking mid-rats. Just kind of like leftover foods and kind of mixing them all together and then serving it to the crew. And using a little bit of my own spices to like make the food like really good.
Sure.
So it's like eggs, meat, whatever was left over from dinner, the remnants of that mixed into it, kind of making an omelet maybe.
Okay. Why don't you make me a wisdom check with cook's utensils proficiency?
Okay. So my wisdom is this, so it's +4. That one.
Oh, no good. So that's a 5, huh? All right. So you manage some breakfast. It's edible.
It's mid-rats, okay?
Yeah.
I haven't cooked real breakfast yet, okay? Don't judge me.
Yeah.
Cloak
You're
is-
dealing with
I
old
could do better.
scraps.
I could do better. I could do better.
Yep. It just everything gets away from you. Like the pan is just hotter than you expected it to be, so things start to burn. Some of the spices scorch. It's a little bit of a hot mess.
The lift and roll of the ship is throwing me off. I'm like, no.
Yep. Yeah, you accidentally. I was just a dash. Oh, shut up.
The pile of salt.
Yeah, exactly. You try to add just a little bit of salt as the deck rolls and just. Right. So it's not delicious. It is edible, but it does not. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I apologize to every time I serve it. I'm sorry, I could do better. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm
So
sorry. I'm not used to cooking on the ship.
everyone is polite enough. They just take the stuff and they eat it, and there's no ugly commentary, at least not in earshot. So there's that at least.
I have to do better tomorrow morning.
Right. Okay, so after you cook a little bit, you end up heading up on deck. What do you do with the rest of your morning before the shift change?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Clean the kitchen. Maybe go up on the upper deck and kind of get a fresh breath of air. And then right before the new shift goes in, I start cooking actual breakfast. And doing that and getting everything ready. Is anyone shown up to help at all or no?
Gudrun shows up and she sets about. In fact, when you go back down to start making actual breakfast, you'll see that a bunch of it has already been prepped, and Gudrun is in there breaking out ingredients and setting it all up so that you can just start cranking through cooking.
Okay.
I was like, well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
And then start cooking.
Yep. And she just kind of, absolutely, morning, and just kind of jumps right in.
This is how we
All
bond
right.
over cooking. We hate each other normally.
Yeah. Outside of cooking, it's awful. But when it's time to fucking make a pancake,
It's the forbidden love story.
You all rise in the morning to the smell of breakfast being cooked, which is delightful. You have not as good a breakfast as you had previously when Cloak cooked, but it's plenty filling. It'll get you through till lunchtime. And as you're all
I make a plate of spare nails for Landis.
wonderful. Yeah.
Oh no.
Do you take that to Landis's cabin? I assume, does Landis come out for mealtime to socialize, or how does that work?
Landis would come out for mealtime for sure.
Okay.
I was like, all right, here you go. And I hand you a plate of nails. And I walk away.
There you go.
Okay. This is slightly.
And I lead to Gudrun and be like, that's what she eats, because she's metal.
He.
Yeah,
That's what she eats. Mr. Landis.
Thanks,
Interesting.
Cloak, for trying. Okay. And I just set the plate down somewhere and then, like, keep doing what I was doing.
Do you need oil on them? Is that what you need?
No, they're great, just the way they are. Thanks. So good. Nom, nom, nom.
Don't look a gift nail in the mouth.
You don't have to humor me. I know what you're doing.
All right. So after breakfast, you begin to kind of disperse about the ship, handling whatever business you need to, or just figuring out how you're going to pass the time for the rest of the journey. Over the course of the night, the clouds did break, and it rained through a good portion of the night. Rowan, if you care about that sort of thing, you could have gone below decks or just for some shelter, or just not even worried about it. So it's a summer rain. It's fairly warm. There was some lightning, but it's not like a monsoon out at open sea or anything. So there was no issues with the ship itself. The morning has dawned a little bit clearer and brighter, although there is still kind of a low rolling mist on the surface of the water, and you can see that on the banks the fog is a little bit thicker, and it's just beginning to burn off as the sun is rising. And as you're all going about whatever your business is, Tilly, you hear a call from the crow's nest. Captain, something in the water ahead.
Tilly will rush to the front, I guess, for viewpoint to see what's going on.
So you kind of you probably head up to like the front rail of the quarterdeck where the ship's wheel is, and Kelleth is there. He reaches inside his vest, pulls out a brass tube, extends it, and hands you a spyglass.
Did I hear this as well?
Probably, yeah.
Then I would have immediately jumped into Edwin to see.
Oh, do you want to send Edwin flying up ahead to see what it is?
Yeah. But I want to see through him.
Sure. Edwin takes wing and starts flying forward ahead of the boat, and he flutters past the green, legit leafy-looking woman who's up in the crow's nest. She is a humanoid plant person, as far as you can tell. Her skin is green. Where she would have hair, there's like leafy foliage that is kind of short as far as hairstyle goes.
So cool.
She's dressed in whatever the same sort of style that you would expect to see out of the other sailors here, but it's very strange. Her eyes are this sort of golden. She doesn't have whites. They're just kind of this yellowish golden with a little bit of violet flecking in them. And she is kind of leaning forward and then kind of yelling back down as Edwin goes flying ahead. So Edwin is the first to see what's there, and it looks like a boat's hull.
Oh, okay. A sunken boat?
That's what it looks like. Yeah. So after a quick pass over, there is indeed a vessel that has sunk in the river. It doesn't look like a ship like yours, though. It looks more like a barge, sort of a broader, flatter, river-going vessel.
Do we see any? Does this look like a recent wreck, or is it old?
I mean, if
Are there people in the water like, oh my god, save me?
you don't know, nothing that overt. Go ahead and make a quick investigation check for old Edwin and see what he can deduce. So it doesn't look like it has been here terribly long.
Okay.
Unless you want him to really get down in there and check it out. But if he's just doing kind of a flyover and
I really just wanted to verify that there weren't like people that we needed to try to save or something. Okay.
No, there's no sign of people splashing around or anything like that, but there is just kind of the bare edge of this barge's hull sticking up out of the water. You can make an intelligence investigation check because you're looking through his senses.
Okay. Good. Maybe. Where'd it go? Here. 7. I don't
7.
know nothing.
Okay. You're not really able to tell much.
I don't know anything about boats, man.
He relays back to you that, it looks like somebody sunk a boat out here. Looks pretty fresh. Doesn't look like it's rotting.
Does it look torn up? Like, did someone shoot it? Or is it just sink? It hit an iceberg?
See, like, a bit of where the boards are broken. Looks like there's a hole in it. Maybe they hit something.
No icebergs, though.
It's summer, boss. No, I don't see any icebergs. Do rivers get icebergs?
I don't know, man. I'm just going off the movies.
Right.
Okay. Well, just keep an eye out for anything weird, like, I don't know, krakens or something.
So back on the ship, the lookout calls down that there's a hull in the water. No sign of rocks.
Tilly!
He's like
Tilly!
looking- Yes!
Tilly! Hey!
Yes!
There's a sunken boat! I'm like running up to the front right now, and I'm like, Tilly, there's a sunken boat out there, and but there's no one in the water. But there's a big hole in it. But there's no icebergs, so I don't know.
I mean, thank you. But Tilly is calling for people or for the crew to slow ship. I imagine clearly it's not a big enough barge that it's taking up the entire river or anything, so we could move, and so she's going to call for the crew to shift the boat or shift our direction to either the left or right, depending on which side.
Yep, you give orders. The helmsman follows them, and you adjust your course so that you're not going to crash into the hulk. Do you want to stay like close enough to get a look at it? What do you want to do?
Sure. I mean, we at least need to make sure there's not. I would like to make sure it's not somebody we need to help or keep out for, based on when we get close enough we can see whatever markings are not on the ship. So yes, she
just don't hit anything. It could have hit something, or there's a kraken or an iceberg. I don't know, but something in the water hit it.
All right, so Keleth begins giving orders. The crew go up into the tops, and they reef the sails a bit to bleed off some of your speed. So you slow down a fair bit as you approach the sunken barge. The helmsman, responding to Keleth's directions, guides you around. So you're probably 50 feet away from the wreck. Plenty of distance that if there is anything in the water, you're not going to hit it, but still close enough to give you at least a decent view of what you're looking at there. So as you draw close, Keleth kind of squints and takes his turn looking through the spyglass, and then hands it back to you and says, "Well, Captain, definitely looks like a sunken barge. Doesn't look like it happened too long ago. Can't tell at a glance, but I can say that those brakes look fresh. They haven't begun to rot."
And there's nothing on banks that we can see, is there? You want me to
go ahead and make me a wisdom perception check.
Can anyone make that?
Sure. Yeah, if you want to scan the banks and see if
I have a 12.
12. All right. So Rowan, how'd you do?
Yeah. Wisdom perception?
Mhm.
I have-
19.
19. What, Landis?
I'm sorry. Can I have Edwin land on the part that's exposed?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So he flutters down and lands on the bit of the hull that's sticking up out of the river.
Cool, and nothing
so
happens?
The boat doesn't like eat him or anything. No.
Okay.
Rowan, sorry, Rowan. You got a 17. Is that right?
19.
19. All right. So between Rowan and Tilly, you scan the banks. It is. Let's see what the terrain specifically looks like. It's mostly just sort of like, it's not like a beach. It's sort of grassy and then just kind of right up to the river. Looks like it's kind of eroded by the water. And there are some like rocky little crags jutting up out of the dirt and some stands of trees and some shrubs. But other than that, you don't really see anything interesting or out of the ordinary.
I mean, if this is pretty fresh, I wonder where the crew is. I feel like we should send someone. There's some crew down, Kelly, to look around and search.
Well, you want us
far
to,
away?
Captain? We could drop anchor if you want to send a party down to investigate the wreckage.
And I'm gonna ask our quartermaster how close we are to Obertal, just to make sure we're not close to that.
Oh,
We haven't made it to the near the fort. That's the.
Oh. How far away are we from any of the forts, from Grizzle or from Obertal?
We're pretty.
I've cast mage armor on myself.
So the quartermaster Ruloff says, "Have no fear, Captain. We passed Obertal in the night."
All right. Well, that was, and she'll tell Rowan that was the fort, and that housed the Griffin Knights that we needed to be sure we made past. So I would, if it were me that potentially could be stuck in a sinking barge, I would hope people would stop and investigate to make sure that I was going to stay alive.
All right. So at that
do
point, when you say that, Kellith nods once and calls out to the deck crew, "Drop anchor!" And you see one of the crew runs over and releases the lever on the capstan, and it, with a clattering, begins to unwind as the anchor drops into the water.
All right,
And
everybody ready?
After a few moments, the anchor chain stops pulling, and the boat the ship sort of slows to a halt.
I'm going to shout up to Our Lady in the Crow's Nest to keep a strong eye out for anybody, and then tell Kellith to get a search team ready to make sure that they're heading down soon.
Hi, Captain.
Would you like me to go and? Would you like me to go and do a reconnaissance?
Are you a strong swimmer?
I don't need to swim.
Speaking of reconnaissance, I would like to have Edwin do a quick round towards the land,
Okay.
the beachy area and all that stuff, and just kind of go out a little ways and see if he sees anyone. I am concerned about bodies in the bushes.
Okay. You send him around on kind of a wide circle flyover of the nearby bank, and after a few minutes, he says, "No, I don't see anyone hiding over here, boss. Looks clear."
All right, guys, there's no one on the land, not anywhere close to us anyway, so I don't think we have to worry too much about getting shot at, just so you know, but...
How far away are we from the wreckage now?
Oh, about 50 feet.
Okay.
Just kind of drifted past it a ways. Right, Captain, says Kellith. You wish me to form a party from the crew? Who do you want to send?
Well, I'm not familiar with who our strongest swimmers would be, but I think that would be important.
Well, we could drop one of the rowboats. No need to swim.
Sure.
At least
Oh,
not
no, I mean,
swim
yeah.
to the wreck, but it
No,
looks
once
like
we
it's
get
pretty well
there.
flooded. Yeah.
I can always go down and look.
All right. Well,
I'll go in the boat.
One of the boats could hold, I'd say, 6 relatively comfortably. Any more than that, and you're crowding pretty hard. So, Rowan.
Rowan, if you would like to lead the search team down below, you're more than welcome to.
Okay. So if nobody else is volunteering, then
Landis is like,
Cloak is in the
I'm
kitchen.
getting wet. Are you kidding?
Cloak has been in the
Puff
kitchen the
around?
whole time.
okay. Well, you've heard a bunch
Look at
of
it.
shouting. Cloak, you've heard a bunch of shouting from up on deck, and there was a kind of a thumping, clattering noise that sort of echoed throughout the hull, and then the boat feels like it slowed to a stop.
Well, Rowan's going to commandeer Puff to come with her
Okay.
to
All
maybe
right.
pull people out of the
So
water if she needs.
then Kelith kind of goes around picking a few different members of the crew to go.
I would
along with you.
I would go up to the top deck and be like, "What's going on?"
"Hey, Cloak, we have a bit of a sinking ship. We're sending a bit of a search crew to make sure there's no one who's left behind. That we can.
It's a treasure?
There might be a treasure, but I don't. It's a barge. I don't know.
Wait, barge, what do you mean?
It's like it carries. It's like a shipping boat. Its job is to essentially ship things from one place to another. So
Oh,
there
so
might be
there could be
merchandise.
money on board.
There could be if that. I mean, I would more be concerned about crew that is.
Sure, yeah, I
Around.
mean, we're all concerned about the crew, but, you know,
And Kelith says, well, depending on if there is anyone over there, and he says it with this wince, and he looks over that the chances of there being anyone on that boat are very slim, given that it's essentially all the way underwater and looks maybe flipped upside down. So, but if there's not crew, then anything there is open salvage. If there is
Allison, let's go!
if there is any valuable cargo.
While they're getting all this put together, I'm going to ask Edwin to fly ahead of us, so down river, up river, whatever direction river is going, to just, I want to make sure there's not, like, I want to see if there's maybe another boat that has come by and picked up the crew, or if there's a giant bomb ship ahead of us.
I can tell you there are no other vessels within eyeshot.
What about it within flying shot?
I mean, he could get a longer view by getting altitude. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see if there's anything past us.
I love how paranoid he is.
So
This is weird.
Edwin flies up fairly high into the sky and says, "Boss, in any of the nearby river, I don't see anyone downriver of us. If there was someone here, they must have made good time and gotten gone.
All right,
But I don't know.
okay,
You know,
thanks, Edwin.
maybe that boat was down there for days. Who knows?"
Maybe. Thanks, Edwin. I'm just going to tell everyone, listen, there's no boats for miles, and there's no one on land, and I'm just a little bit uncomfortable because bodies would be somewhere. Dead bodies, right? Would be somewhere. They would have, like, washed up onto the shore, or they'd be floating, or something like that, and I'm just uncomfortable. So please be careful when you go into the water.
Well, if it's been there for a while, I mean, probably a bunch of things ate them.
Bones, there would be, I don't know, something. There would be, I just feel like there would be something. I don't,
Bones don't float.
it doesn't, that's not, no, but that's not what I mean. It would have washed up to the shore, and then something with, like, bones would be there.
No,
Something would have
alright,
eaten it on the
so-
shore.
We need to
So-
investigate it now.
So who all
I'm
is
just
planning
saying, be
to
careful. That's all I'm saying, is be careful, please.
who all is planning to get into the boat to investigate this Hulk?
Me.
Rowan, Rowan,
I
Cloak.
I'll do, but I'll tell
Rowan,
Kellis
sure.
that he's in charge of the ship while I'm gone, since he's first mate.
All right, Tilly, you're
Oh,
going.
good.
leaving
Everybody's
Cloak.
gonna go die without me.
Tilly,
Did
Cloak.
you say that in character?
That's already dead.
Did you say that
And
in
you said
character?
you wanted to bring Puff Puff, right, Rowan?
Yes.
All right, so we got Tilly, Cloak, Rowan, and Puff Puff. Landis, you going or no?
No, I know.
Hell no, that's death over on that boat. I've seen Alien.
No, he's afraid that something's gonna happen with the little boat, and he's gonna get knocked into the water and just short circuit or some shit like that.
Immediate.
You function in water, right?
Well, he doesn't know that. He's never gone swimming.
All right,
No,
fair enough.
No one
haven't
told him. Like, by the way, if you
haven't
jump
taught
in the
him his
water, you'll be
floaties.
fine.
It's okay.
Floating on his arms.
It's okay. He's got Eldritch Blast for days, so he can just
Yeah,
be
all
there.
my stuff is long
Gotcha,
range
guys.
anyways. We're good.
Okay, so then
He is our cannon on the
Kelith,
ship.
Kelith sends Chiron, the tiefling woman, and Theron, a slender man who wears like a mantle and hood and kind of keeps it pulled down, kind of shrouding his face and head from the sun.
I
So
helped the
they will go
tiefling
with
woman
this.
on board.
Okay. Like you help her on board.
Yeah,
just
I take out my
just
hand
like
and
offer
help
her
her
hand.
out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're the first person on the boat or whatever, yeah, she'll take your hand. When you take her hand, so her skin is this bluish violet, kind of like the color of a fresh, nasty bruise, but just everywhere, sort of uniform. She has 6 fingers when she takes your hand and uses it to kind of steady herself as she gets into the boat.
As I take her hand, I'm like, hi, I'm Cloak.
Hello, Cloak. I'm Chiron. And she smiles, and her teeth are black and slightly pointed.
That's pretty cool.
I love her. I would die for her.
She just sort of chuckles and steps past you.
I do not help anyone else on board.
Nice. And let's see. If no one else pushes forward to do it, Theron, the hooded fellow, will grab hold of the oars and begin propelling you from the princess toward the wreck.
Can I make a perception roll to see why he's covering himself with the hood?
You just want to try to get a better look at him,
Yeah.
or you're trying to gauge what his deal is.
Yeah, I'm trying to gauge what he's all about.
So that'd be an insight check. Make a wisdom
Okay.
insight check to try and get a feel for him.
Hold on. I know I have 4. 8.
8. So the fact that his features are pretty well covered makes it really difficult to get a read on him. And he seems pretty proficient at keeping himself sort of shrouded. It's definitely kind of suspicious, but it seems like he's okay with that.
Okay, I tug on Kira's, I don't know what she's wearing. I tug on her a little bit, and I was like,
Chiron.
Chiron. And go like, what is he covered?
She kind of looks at you and leans over to hear your whisper, and she sort of shrugs and says as quietly, she tries to whisper back quietly so that he can't hear, although you're really in close proximity, says, Theron's a bit of an odd one. He keeps to himself.
I'm on the case.
She says, he's been with us a long time, though, proven himself.
I'm just curious. It's okay, but I'll keep you safe, though.
She grins again and rolls her eyes a little bit, and she says, I feel safer already.
Oh, see?
All right, so the oars creak and clatter in their iron locks, and the river water splashes under the paddles of the oars as the boat cuts its way through the decent but not rapid or super strong current in the river, and you approach this looming, mostly submerged barge hulk waiting for you in the River Argent. And that is where we're going to stop for this week, I think, because we are up on time, and we'll pick up next week with investigating the shipwreck. Barge wreck.
That's so
Boat
fun,
wreck.
though.
It is. We'll get there. I'm looking forward to it.
I
So thank
have
you, everyone. Thanks for joining us, all our delightful, lovely viewer friends. We had, So how was tonight for everybody? I had a good time. Cloak.
I did. Are we doing outros?
Yeah, let's do outros.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hello, my name's Cloak. You might recognize me from Abyssal Nightmares, Abyssal Kitchen Nightmares, and how to romance a tiefling 101. But yes, hello. Yeah. I had another one that was way terrible, but I don't know what we can get away with. Fuckboat. So, hi, I'm Mickelokin. I had fun. I really enjoyed Cloak in the kitchen. He got to really express some anger. And so I think that was a really fun character development there. But it was great. I'm curious if there's treasure in here. I really hope there's some treasure in here and some magic weapons. And that's me.
Yay! Muff.
Oh, hello. That was fun. It was nice just to do some role playing with the dog. I actually really liked that.
Yeah, that was
Puff
the
Puff
most
is-
we've heard Puff Puff speak at a time so far.
Puff Puff is the voice of reason in this party, and that should scare everyone.
Oh boy.
I'm looking forward to trying out some control water and some ghostly shenanigans next week to search this shipwreck, boat wreck, barge wreck thing. I am Scarlet Moth. You can find me on Twitter at @ThatScarletMoth. I'm an artist, cosplayer, D&D lover. Yeah. That's me.
And that'll about cover it. Birdie.
I've got nothing
how's-
coming up until next year, so I have no idea what to do with myself. Please come talk to me.
Oh no. Birdie, how was today?
Oh, today is great. I'm terrified about the next episode. So terrified. Birdie and Landis, because Landis is completely out of his element in all ways, shapes, and forms, and therefore just like in a constant state of anxiety, I think, at this point. He's still real happy he can be the boss, but I think that's probably going to come with a little more responsibility than what he originally expected. Yeah, so gotta count the monies. I am loving seeing Tilly in her element and kind of able to take control of a lot of those situations and talk her way through it. It's really neat to see that part of the character come forward since we haven't seen that before, really. And I am just concerned, but it's fine. I'm sure. I am Birdie, aka the Birdiesaurus, and apparently completely incapable of spelling any name that comes out of Dan's mouth, because every time I think I have it, I read our chat and then I realize I'm off by like 12 letters. So, hey, good day all around. And I have a pinned tweet thing on the Twitters if you want to find out where else I will be. And then the one for Wednesday is wrong because we're not doing it. But on Thursday, I'm definitely playing Monster Hearts on Off the Table. And Friday, I'll be back on Encounter Roleplay for some more Judge Dredd. And then that's all the things that are happening. Yay, bye. Happy Halloween!
Yay! And last, but once again, nowhere near least, Simply Jackson. How was that?
Simple Jackson, it was great. I'm going to have to do a lot of research in naval terms and naval command terms before the next session, which is really fun. I won't remember them, but I'll try at least.
Gunnels and bulkheads.
Objection!
I am honestly feeling the most tapped into being a good character. Somebody who has tried to play her character as good through our previous things, but kind of surrounded by a lot of characters who are out for themselves. So, best to defend the party for their own needs, and then now I have a much larger party to look out for. So, I'm gonna have a fun time making sure that not making sure, but failing, I'm sure, to make sure that nothing happens to our crew. I can't believe you smeared poop under a bed. Like,
Yeah. Do you guys realize Cloak is 42, but that's like for gnomes, it's like teenager. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna behave like a child. I'm gonna start treating you like a child. Anyways, you guys can find me on Twitter at SimplyJXN down here, and through that you can find me for art of D&D character commissions, and you can find all sorts of junk. So
Simply does
but yeah.
great art. You should commission.
can you draw Cloak
Let's go find her version of my Sizzler. He's so cute.
Wait. Can you draw Cloak smearing poop under a bed?
Not for
Unfortunately, poop is strictly in my no like not happening. Not I can't.
No
not,
cat play.
What
No.
if it's sparkly poop?
I'll have to ask Puffball permissions. That might be against her.
Oh,
rules
okay.
Too, so.
We'll see about that.
Anyways, thank you, Dan,
once
for-
again, absolutely. I had a great time. Thanks for diving in and being so willing to like interact with all of these ship's crew, because they're each one of these
You
is a
put some
character.
hard work into them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
No, thanks
so
for
I'm
all
looking
those
forward
gift subs,
to.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was
Your own
great.
campaign.
Thank you for all the gift subs. Sorry,
Go
I
to
don't
Kickstarter.
watch. Yeah, I missed a lot of that as I wasn't watching the chat. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
But
you were a little
very
bit
much
late,
appreciate it. Yeah, and do go check out the Kickstarter for Deep Magic for 5e if you're into.
I just backed it, so should you.
There you go. If you want to see some of that sweet ley line, ley line might not be in there. Rune magic is in there for sure.
Tell
go check
me,
that stuff
Dan,
out.
can I get some sweet new spells for Rowan in
You
the
can get-
Rune Magic?
Up to 600 sweet new spells for Rowan. Apocalypse magic. That'll be fun. So go
that's
check that out. See if that's up your alley. A few more hours left on that. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We really appreciate it. We love having you here. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye, all. Hopefully there's someone to turn the switch off. Bye.